It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 161. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, December 28th, 2025, the final Sunday of the year, and that means that this is going to be the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025. That's taking place today, where I'm going to name the best video game of the year along with some other categories. So I'm excited to be here. This is my favorite show to do each year, and I hope you are as well. So welcome to the 4th annual Dep Lewis Show Awards. I hope you're doing great out there in the world, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. Thank you so much for being here. The first order of business is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. If you would like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you would like to support the show. So even though today is the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025, today's show will have 3 sections as always. The first section is going to be the intro here, a little bit of video game news I want to bring to you, and I will be announcing the theme for next year. So far over the history of Dep Lewis Show, we've done the Year of Survival Horror. I believe that was the first year of the show. Then we did the Year of the RPG. We did the Year of No Direction, which was the most recent year. And I will be announcing what the theme for next year will be at the end of this first section. So that's the plan for the first section of the show. And then the mid section, which is the middle of the show. It's never mid in quality. Always the most important section of the show. And of course, that's going to be the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025. So all 7 categories, including Game of the Year, will take place in the mid section of the show this week. And that is what I'm extremely excited to tell you about today. It's going to be a celebration of all my favorite things from the year. Hopefully some things that you enjoyed, and hopefully some things maybe you will learn about or get excited for as well. So that's the plan here. It's just basically a celebration of 2025. And the third and final section it'll be a miscellaneous talk section, but it'll kind of be a year-end catch-up and then also a catch-up on the worldwide world of sports. Well, I guess it's the worldwide world of sports final catch-up of the year, basically. I'll tell you about what happened last week. I'll tell you about what's going on today, because the Carolina Panthers actually do play today in about 4 hours from when I'm recording this. They're playing against the Seattle Seahawks. So I'll talk about the sports stuff at the end like I normally do, but I'll do a little bit more of a year-end spin to it. So that's the plan here. We're wrapping up the year, and we're just getting started with the Dep Lewis Show Awards 2025. So welcome to the show. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. If you celebrate, I hope you had a Happy Holiday. If you celebrate any of those, I hope if you had time off or did anything fun, I hope you got to do some of those things. And I'm also wishing you a Happy New Year, because this is the last podcast of the year. When I come back next week, I don't know what day it is. I think it's like maybe the 4th or something like that, but it'll be into the new year, and we'll be starting off fresh for a whole another year of Dep Lewis shows, and I can't wait for it. But the first few things I want to tell you about today is just a couple news updates of things that I think are interesting, and they are both Nintendo Switch 2 related. So the first one is a game, that came out for Switch 2, I think it was September, and that's Persona 3 Reload. So this is the port of Persona 3 that came to Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. It got ported to Nintendo Switch 2. A little bit of frame rate issues, or frame pacing issues, as I believe what they called it. These are noticeable in the demo, and even in the first build of the game, these were noticeable. And I think Atlas came out and said, hey, we came out the gate a little bit hot. We maybe rushed this. We could have used some more time. An update is coming, and that update is finally here. It's called version 1.03. It's available now for Persona 3 Reload on Nintendo Switch 2, and it does improve the graphical performance, the stability of the frames, and makes the game definitely more enjoyable on Switch 2. And I think it realizes the handheld dream of playing Persona 3 Reload that I've been having for a long time, because I think it's running pretty good on here. I actually played a good bit last night, and I don't think it runs exactly as good as the PlayStation 5 or the Series X or S, but I think it's very, very close, and I think having this game in the handheld is impressive. So this update, version 1.03, is available now. It is including performance mode, only available in TV mode, which is targeting 60 frames per second. So that was one of the bigger complaints about this. And then TV mode and handheld mode are improving the frame rate stability. The same patch is also coming to the demo. I believe that's to be decided on when, and I think that'll be a good thing to happen. I think that should have been a little bit of a priority. I guess, well, the priority should have been the people who purchased the game, but I think the demo needs to get polished up so that could sell some more people on playing the game in the future. So I'm pretty excited about that because this has been a game that I've had a little bit of a history with. I've started 2 files on it. This is going to be my third, or the Switch 2 version is my third start of a file on this. I think I've gotten 20 or something hours into each of these files, so not just a little bit of playtime, but I really do enjoy this game. It's been I've been enjoying playing this game every time I do it, but I guess I've been holding out, or subconsciously holding out, for playing this on the Switch because it's so cool to be playing this in handheld and then also be playing it on the TV as well. And I'm glad to see that this third-party game is running a lot better on the Nintendo Switch 2. And I would even say it's acceptable. I would say it's probably better than acceptable. So I think that is a good thing. And that's something with the introduction of the Switch 2 this year. I think some of the third-party stuff's been back and forth. But I think overall, after time, these games are getting patched. They're getting optimized to run better on the Switch 2. And I think that's a really great thing. I think it's showing that the Switch 2 actually has some pretty good horsepower to it, and it just takes a little bit of work on the devs' part, which I guess all these games take work on the devs' part, but some extra, or I think that's something we're going to be seeing more and more as time goes on. Is if there's a game, there's 9 different things you can play this game on, you might have to optimize it around for these different versions, and it might take a little bit of time. Some things might take precedence, blah, 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 blah. But Persona 3 Reload is running very nicely on Nintendo Switch 2, and that's a recent update. So I just wanted to make sure you knew about that, because I've talked about Persona 3 Reload a lot on this show. All right, this other update was an extremely great sale going on. That sale is not taking place anymore, so I'm sorry if you missed it, but Cyberpunk 2077, the Ultimate Edition on Nintendo Switch 2, was on sale incorrectly in the Nintendo eShop. I think this was up for almost 24 hours. Maybe it was 24 hours at max. I was able to get this, which was pretty exciting, and the difference was the price is normally $69.99 US dollars for Cyberpunk 2077 on Switch 2, and the deal was to get this game for $17.49 US dollars, so $18 for an $80 or $70 game. So a pretty amazing discount. I know this game is normally around $20. You can get it on $20 on around $20 for Xbox and PlayStation, since this is a game that released in 2020. But this being a very impressive Switch 2 port, I think this is a pretty exciting thing. And I even wondered a little bit throughout this. Maybe this sale was intentional, and maybe they're just playing up that, hey, the discount, we didn't want it to do this, because this has immediately shot the game up to the top of the charts. It's a digital game. I don't think this is any skin off their back of selling it at a lower cost for a little bit of time. I think this could maybe be a little bit of a marketing ploy, and if it was a marketing ploy, it certainly worked on me, and it worked on a lot of people as well. But the quote from CD Projekt Red says these discounts, the developer of the game says the discounts for Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition displayed on Nintendo Switch 2 eShop in the Americas on December 22nd, 2025 are incorrect. This situation is a result of an error we made when submitting the discount. We have corrected the error and new discounts have now been applied. Purchases made at the previous discount rate are unaffected by this change. Yeah, people were wondering online if they were going to come back and take the game back and refund everybody's money, but they did not do that. So, and the other thing they said in there was, The Witcher 3. And I don't know what the error was with Witcher 3. I've seen The Witcher 3 in the store 100% off a lot of times already on the Nintendo eShop. And one thing I would say about that is that, that's a good deal to get anything for free, especially a great game like The Witcher 3. But The Witcher 3 runs very, very poorly on the Nintendo Switch. If it's your only way to play it, or if you just really want to have this in handheld and you're just going to overlook the visual performance, then I think it's okay. But I don't think they're really doing us too much favors by discounting The Witcher 3 on Nintendo Switch 2. That's a game that I think could really, really benefit from a patch, one of those optimization situations that I was just talking about, and something that I would love to be able to play The Witcher 3 on my Switch 2. And I do think that's coming this year. I think they mentioned something about that kind of recently, and it seems like a no-brainer almost of something they should be working on, because The Witcher 4 is supposed to be releasing next year, so you think you want to build up a little bit more of the hype before the launch of that. And I think running on the Switch 2 would be nice. I think the Switch 2 is getting a lot of positive press, and I think rightfully so, for having some of these third-party things run good on there. And Cyberpunk 2077 is another one that is impressive. I played this game on I think I played it on Xbox Series X maybe for like 5 or 10 hours when it first came out, so I know what this game looks like, how it runs kind of thing. I guess I did play it back in 2020 when it was first released, so that did kind of sour me on the experience, but I guess I've watched some footage of this game and I know that it really is like not a technical masterpiece, but this game does run extremely well on when you run it on like a nice machine or whatever. And this game runs really well on the Switch too. It's crazy. It's crazy to think that there's like an open world, like giant city game. It just feels a little bit strange to be playing this massive of a third party game on Nintendo. And I really never have utilized my Nintendo for third party games. Is something I'm realizing. And it's just pretty cool. It's pretty cool to go from switching in handheld to putting this on the TV. I actually don't know if I played Cyberpunk on the TV yet. I think I've just been playing it in handheld. I've been playing with the Joy-Cons detached a little bit. I've just been playing it sort of in awe of how it's running. I don't really have some great intention of playing Cyberpunk, but you never know. It's just really kind of crazy to have that game digitally on my Switch right now, and something that I just wanted to mention. And, thank you CD Projekt Red for the error in pricing, if it truly was an error. But the main thing I wanted to report here is the Nintendo Switch 2 is running some third-party stuff in a great fashion, and I think if you've never played these games, I don't think you will scoff at these ports in any way. I think if you played these games on other platforms, you might be able to look at these and nitpick them a little bit, but I think it really would be nitpicky at this point, and I think it's a great, excellent thing. Looking forward for the Nintendo Switch 2. So those are my 2 bits of news I wanted to update you with. Persona 3 Reload got an update on Switch 2, and Cyberpunk 2077 runs really great on Switch 2 is what I wanted to tell you. Alright, so that's all the video game news I have for you this week. I don't really want to talk about what video games I've been playing this week, since this is the Dep Lewis Show Awards. I'm going to tell you what my favorite video games of the year were in the midsection of this show, so I don't want to have any spoilers. I was trying to catch up on some games this week, play a few more things, maybe deciding. I think my game of the year choice was made in the past week. I think it's been a toss-up between a couple games, and I think I finally put the ribbon on it maybe just a couple days ago. So this decision has really come down to the end. I've even been thinking about it this morning. So I'm excited to tell you, but the thing I want to tell you about right now. So this has been the year of no direction on the Dep Lewis Show. I haven't had like a general theme or a genre or something I've been trying to do. The first year of the show was the year of survival horror. We've had the year of the RPG. So those were just like 2 years where I just focus on that genre a little more than I normally do. Maybe try some games out I wouldn't. And the year of no direction was just meant to be, hey, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm not going to have any restrictions. I'm not going to be trying to play any certain type of game. And I think that was pretty fun. And I think what I've decided is going to be a little bit of it's like the spiritual successor to the year of no direction, but I think it has a little more focus in there. And I've had many thoughts on what the direction for next year could be, the theme, and I'm going to tell you about those in a second after I announce what the theme's going to be. But you're going to be hearing about this every week. I'm going to be talking about this. This is going to be my focus for the year. This is going to be what I'm going to be thinking about in the video game world. And 2026 is going to be the year of the front log. So I don't know if people out there talk about a front log as opposed to a backlog, but I'm saying goodbye to my backlog for 2026, and I am saying hello to my front log. And the notes I've written here about this is I think I've spent too much time recently looking backwards. Maybe buying some. I know people get mad calling older consoles retro. I've heard people start calling older things vintage. So maybe I should say I've been playing some vintage games. I've been building a list of games to complete, trying to get back to the beginning of a series. I've been going back and forth of, hey, should I play the first game in the series if a new one's coming out, blah, 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 blah. So I'm saying goodbye to the backlog. I'm going to spend more time with the new games that I purchase. And I think I really could have benefited from that in 2025. So I'm not going to get into the specific games because I'm going to talk all about games in the midsection, about maybe what I wanted to play some more and things like that, or what I did enjoy. But I think this is going to help me in the new year. I'm still going to play some backlog games, but there's not going to be any specific order. I'm not going to come on here and talk about it. I'm not going to create a list of GameCube games I want to complete, etc. So, goodbye backlog, and welcome to the year of the front log. And I guess I want to talk about some of the games. Like this year, there were games like Hades 2, and I think Hollow Knight Silksong. I think those are some of the best examples. And then there's a lot of GameCube games I've been thinking about playing. So I think those have been the ones that have been racking my brain of like, hey, do I go play Metroid Prime 1 or do I jump right into Metroid Prime 4? Hey, do I play Hollow Knight 1 or hey, do I jump into Hollow Knight Silksong? Hey, do I play Hades 1 or do I jump into Hades 2? And then I ended up buying these games, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong. and I don't play them because I'm like, hey, I'm going to still play Hollow Knight. So for this new year, for 2026, if I buy a game like Hollow Knight Silk Song, I'm going to play the Hollow Knight Silk Song and try it out for what it is. I'm not going to worry about going back into the beginning of the series unless it's just something I want to. So that is my plan for 2026. It is the year of the front log. I don't really think I'm not going to really have to create a list for the front log because each year I do this show, I'm trying to rank my favorite video game from the new year. Some more of my thoughts on this. I'm going to end up buying some new games regardless of what the year is going to be. Even if I have a giant backlog, I'm still going to be adding new games to the list. And my plan this year is to make sure that I give those games the attention that they hopefully deserve, because hopefully they're going to be some good games. I don't really have too many games for next year that are definite day one purchases for me. I think that's something I'm going to look at on the first podcast of next year, get into 2026 and think about the games I want to play. I think the only one I can really think of, everyone's thinking about Grand Theft Auto 6. And the other big one I have is Forza Horizon 6. I think that's the other one that I'll be playing for sure. And then I can already say will probably be in Game of the Year contention for me, I guess, as long as it comes to PlayStation before the end of the year. So that's just, that's some talking for another show. But 2026 is going to be the year of the front log on the Dep Lewis Show. So that is the thing I'm glad to announce. So I did have the other one I was really considering for many weeks. I think about a month ago, I said on this show, hey, I've decided what the theme for next year is going to be. If I change it, I'm going to let you know. And I did end up changing it. And the one I was really thinking about doing was the year of the racing game. But I kind of decided that I think 2025 was almost the year of the racing game without me even knowing it. That's just kind of where the year of no direction led me, because I played a lot of racing games this past year. I played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I played Mario Kart World, I played Kirby Air Riders, I played Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, I played F-Zero GX, and I even played Forza Motorsport 3 on the 360. So I was basically going to be running all these games back and maybe adding a few more games in there if I was going to do the year of the racing game in 2026. But that's why I decided to change it up a little bit last minute. Some of the other ones I was thinking about doing was year of the GameCube, going back and trying to complete some GameCube games. But that one's kind of the complete opposite of what I'm ended up doing now. I thought about maybe, doing a year of a specific franchise, like trying to play more, play Mario games I haven't done, Final Fantasy, something like that. I'm trying to think of the other ones I thought of for like the yearly themes, and these might be ones I use, down the road. I thought about doing the year of the RPG 2.0, so maybe I can run back a theme over the years as this podcast goes, but it's just something fun to talk and think about and have a little bit of a guiding light of a direction or a theme each year. So 2026 will be the year of the front log on the Dep Lewis Show. All right, so that's the end of this first section. So we're going to get into what I'm waiting for, what everyone out there is waiting for, the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025. It's going to be in the midsection of this show. So listen to this break music and come back for the Dep Lewis Show Awards 2025. Welcome back to the midsection of Dep Lewis Show, episode 161. And this is the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025. So I have 7 total categories for you this year. The final one is going to be Best Video Game of the Year. This is going to be a celebration of all my favorite things from the year. The first few categories they're all going to be winners in the categories, because I'm just going to tell you some of my favorite things from the year. And those first few are going to be favorite other podcasts of the year, favorite streamers of the year, my favorite YouTube channels of the year. So those are all just really good recommendations in my mind of really great, entertaining things to listen to or watch. And then I'm going to be naming my favorite console of the year, my best video game from a prior year, the best 10 video games of all time, which is something that I'm going to do each year, starting with this year that I do this show, and see how that changes over time. I think that'll be fun. And then the final category for the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025, the most important category each year, is the best video game of the year. I'm excited, so let's get into it. And the first one I want to talk about, our first category for the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025, is my favorite other podcast of the year. So I am certainly a podcast fan. I've been listening to them for a long time. That is definitely the reason I'm here doing this podcast now for 3 years. And the first one I want to talk about will be my all-time favorite podcaster of all time, and that's Jeff Gerstmann. And he does the Jeff Gerstmann Show on Tuesday. He created Giant Bomb. He was fired from Giant Bomb about 3 years ago and started the Jeff Gerstmann Show. And around that time is when I started this show as well. That was the most heartbreaking podcast moment in my life over there, is when the creator, I think one of the main soul engines of Giant Bomb, was fired from the site. Pretty inexplicable and pretty crazy. So this was, the biggest podcast breakup I've ever seen or ever heard or ever experienced, and it definitely was a part of a motivation for me starting the Dep Lewis Show here. So I think it's pretty cool to say that we have I think the Jeff Gerstmann Show and mine have around the same amount of episodes going so far. So, Jeff has 1 million more in the history, but one small thing that puts me in relation to somebody that I admire, and I think that's pretty cool. So, Jeff Gerstmann Show every Tuesday. Please check out Patreon, follow on Twitch, follow on YouTube. He's getting pretty close to ranking all the NES games on YouTube. That's pretty fun. And Twitch, I guess. You can watch the VODs on YouTube. And I'm trying to think of some of the things from Jeff Gerstmann for this year. I think we're getting some more kid content from Jeff, and that's pretty cool to see. I think he's a little bit older than me, but in the same kind of ballpark or range. A lot of my friends have kids as well. And something interesting to see brought to the podcast from, Jeff being back a single guy. Now he's married and has kids and been firmly in that role for a long time. But now his kids are getting old enough to play video games. He had his son on the podcast for a bit talking about how he loves Katamari. So it's very, very cute. He is talking about how he has to monitor his kids' gameplay time while also himself playing games in the other room, and how that's an interesting dynamic, and getting his kids to review the differences between the two Katamari games. Jeff's pretty much his end of year wrap up on PlayStation was all games that his kids were playing. So, times are changing, things are changing, and it's all very interesting to watch. And one of the most consistent podcasters out there is Jeff Gerstmann, one of the most consistent content creators out there. And that is one of the things that I most enjoy about him. So, one of my favorite other podcasts of the year, always the Jeff Gerstmann Show. All right, a little bit in that same vein, another one of my favorite podcasts of the year is the Nextlander podcast. These are also people who helped create Giant Bomb that are no longer at Giant Bomb. Vinny Caravella, Brad Shoemaker, and Alex Navarro, the three amigos over there every Thursday. And they also have a Patreon, so please check out their Patreon. Follow them on Twitch, follow them on YouTube. They have Abby Russell, who used to be with Giant Bomb, pops through on their streams a lot or comes through for the podcast, who I really enjoy as well. And that is one of my favorite things to listen to each week. Definitely, I guess that's definitely my favorite my favorite group podcast, because it still has a little bit of remnants of old Giant Bomb, of being three guys from the crew on there. So please go check them out. And the Nextlander podcast is another one of my favorite other podcasts of the year. All right, so still sticking with the Giant Bomb train. That's going to be all throughout my favorite other podcast of the year here. And my other favorite podcast of the year is the Fire Escape Cast. So this one takes place every other Monday. This one's Dan Reichert, who is formerly and currently with Giant Bomb, Mike Mahardy and Mary Kish. And Mary Kish works for Twitch. She also streams on Twitch, so please go check her out as well. I don't think Mike does too many. Actually, Mike does some stuff with Nextlander. If you want to go support them, I think on their Patreon tiers. And he will stream games with Mary sometimes too, but I don't think he has his own dedicated channel for streaming, but I could be wrong there. But Mike Mahardy is certainly enjoyable and cool on the Fire Escape Cast. So please follow Fire Escape Cast. They have a Patreon. They have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is basically good for them for watching the VODs of some of their streams. I don't think they've done those recently, but it's also good for watching their Game of the Year discussion, which I think their Game of the Year is probably my favorite Game of the Year at this point, besides doing my own. So definitely want to shout out the Fire Escape Cast, and please go show them some love out there on the internet. All right, one of my other favorite other podcasts of the year, and this is one that I took a break, like I mentioned. Jeff Gerstmann got fired from Giant Bomb, I guess, 3 years ago, whatever it is. And I took a break from listening to the Giant Bombcast, but I've been back listening to this weekly, and I am very, very thankful for that. So I took a break from Giant Bomb after pretty much sometime after Jeff Gerstmann left. It was just too much of a sour taste. And, even though there were still some people on the crew that I like, or I like most of them, it was just too tough to watch something that you really love and care about be changed so drastically. So the Giant Bombcast is back in my weekly rotation, and they have become independent last year. I think that could be, I don't know if that's a reason. I don't know. I don't know if that's really been the crux of when I really got back into listening to them, but I think it certainly helped. And they became independent in May of 2025. Jeff Baclar and Jeff Grubb were the first two to purchase this game, or purchase this website. And then they divvied it up amongst, I think it was 5 people. So I think it's Jeff Backlar, Jeff Grubb, Dan Reichert, Jan Ochoa, and Mike Minotti, I believe, are the 5 owners. And they brought on Turbo Sean and Chuck. I don't know if they are owners or have any stake or they're just getting paid in the salary. I'm not really sure, but those are all the guys that have been contributing to the site in a consistent fashion since they become independent. So they have recently relaunched their website, and I have just been really, really enjoying this. I think having the mix of the old guys and the new guys has been nice. I think Dan being there is a really, really strong selling point. I pretty much would watch anything with Dan Reichert going on, and even through the times of Jeff leaving, we had Dan there, which was nice, but like I'm saying, it was just a little bit too tough to watch Giant Bomb for a while. But I think the mix of guys is super strong right now, and I think one of the highlights from Giant Bomb these days is Mike Minotti or Mitch Minotti, and I think that's been one of the bright spots for me. That's been one of the really, the newness that giving Giant Bomb a little bit of a new era to me, or a new feel, is like kind of the Mitch Minotti era, and he's one of my favorite new people to follow on the internet. So please shout out to him, and just shout out to Giant Bomb in general. I really enjoy all these guys. They do some great long live streams. They've done a couple 24-hour ones, or really, really long live streams in the last couple months, and they really need the independent support more than ever. And I can 100% say that I enjoy their content all the way. I'm extremely happy with what's going on over there at Giant Bomb, and I've been into it all. I've been listening to the Bombcast again. I've been back listening to Voicemail Dump Truck. I think they've been doing Unprofessional Fridays still, and I really enjoy watching that. That's a stream once a week on Friday that you can watch live or watch later. Usually have all the guys or multiple guys from the crew playing a game, and for a couple hours, and it's a really fun thing to watch live or catch up on. So shout out to Giant Bomb. It's really, really great to see you back and doing really well, and I hope that will continue for a long time. All right, the last other one I want to talk about for favorite other podcasts of the year is a podcast that was created this year, so that's pretty cool, and it's called Pew Pew Bang. This is part of the Min-Max Show podcast network, which is another podcast I do enjoy listening to, the Min-Max Show, but this is a new one. It's called Pew Pew Bang, and it's some of the cohorts from Min-Max. It's Sarah Podzorski, Jana Garcia, Kelsey Lewin, and Haley McLean. And this one is every other Monday, and they're doing it like for a season has been the format. So it's not a consistent every other Monday, but they are really good about telling you, hey, we're shutting down this season for now. We're coming back on this day, blah, 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 blah. Each episode has a different theme, and it's just been super enjoyable to watch. These are some of my favorite people from Min-Max. I think it's cool to have a all woman cast. I think that's pretty cool and unusual. A lot of people like to say all the bros are out here doing podcasts, and well, now you got some ladies out here doing a podcast together, and I think it's cool that they have a different theme. And I think the main selling point. I've been a Sarah Pods fan for a long time, so that's been a really nice combination when she started up with Min-Max. So she's another one, pretty much like Gersman, or I guess a lot of these people. But I'm watching anything that Sarah Pods does, and her starting her own podcast with some other people I really like is definitely a podcast highlight for me for the year. And so the Min-Max Show, which is a great podcast, Min-Max with 2 N's from Minnesota, they do the 2 10s each year, which is basically a top 20 video games. They have a lot of people on their outlet or that work for Min-Max, and so it makes the game of the year pretty fun to watch because there's a lot of different opinions. I think there's 9 people that are doing the game of the year deliberations over there at Min-Max, and Pew Pew Bang did the Pew 10. So I mean, just doing some really excellent things. I think the name of the podcast is great. I think all their branding and all their theme stuff is really, really cool, and I think all those women are pretty awesome. So Sarah Pods, I'll actually be talking about her more in a minute, but Jana Garcia also does a podcast with her now husband. So she got married this year, so congrats to both of them. It's called The Gangcast, so please go check that out with Janet and Isaiah. Kelsey Lewin owns Pink Gorilla, a video game store that's extremely awesome. It's on the West Coast, and you can also order online, and it's just really, really impressive. So please go check out Pink Gorilla. It seems like one of the coolest video game stores in the world. And then Haley McLean, I don't know if you can, she is a video game lawyer, or she's a lawyer, so I don't know if you need some video game copyright help. Please, I guess maybe think about reaching out to Haley McLean. But the Pew Pew Bang crew is extremely good, and they are firmly in my autoplay when I see this podcast pop up. So all of these are in the autoplay for me when they pop up each week, and are a pleasure and a joy. And some of my favorite times during the week are listening to these shows. So those are all my favorite other podcasts of the year. The Jeff Gerstmann Show, the Nextlander Podcast, the Fire Escape Cast, Giant Bombcast, and Pew Pew Bang. All right, so that's the first category of the year, my favorite other podcast of the year. And let's get into my favorite streamer of the year. So my favorite streamer of the year, I think this is the same as last year, is the lead one I want to mention is Rachel K. And Rachel K, she mainly streams on Twitch, but this year she started multi-streaming, so that's something cool to note. I'm a YouTube premium subscriber, so I'm able to watch her streams now without ads, which is really nice. And she also streams now on YouTube or YouTube X, and I don't know if anywhere else, but Rachel K is out there multi-streaming, so please go check her out. She's also been doing more YouTube recaps, so please go follow her YouTube. You can watch some gameplay catch-ups and things like that. They've also been putting more shorts out, so those are really fun to watch. She's very entertaining and always fun to watch. She is in South Africa, so for me over here in the United States, she's often like a morning or daytime streamer, or really a morning streamer. So it's really nice to have somebody to watch during the daytime that's always entertaining. You can always turn it on, have a good time. Just very, very enjoyable to watch, and just very cool. And Rachel K had a son, I guess it was last year, maybe the year prior, but her son maybe not older than 1 or really much older, and she's back streaming, so that's pretty cool to see. I think it definitely shows that she has a passion for it. She talks about her mom a lot, Sandra, and her mom will come through and babysit, so shout out to Sandra as well for allowing Rachel to be streaming out here, and just thank you for all the wonderful entertainment. Definitely one of my favorite streamers of the year, Rachel K. All right, another person that I've already mentioned over here is Sarahpods, one of my favorite streamers of the year. And Sarahpods streams at night a couple times a week. She is definitely one of the funniest people I watch, which is one of the main reasons I watch her. She streams on Twitch along with podcasting for MinMax and Pew Pew Bang, like I just said. She's also the social media and marketing manager for Fields of Mystria. So please go check out Fields of Mystria. It's a farm sim game that's extremely excellent. It's in early access, I believe, still, but it's coming out of early access soon, or it just has. So please go check that out if you're into games like Animal Crossing or Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley. And Sarahpods is an extremely great streamer. I think she's really good at video games, just kind of like Rachel K as well. So that's something that I'm impressed by, just alongside all their banter and jokes and things like that. And Sarah Pods, she basically starts her stream with a mini podcast each time of her just talking about things that are grinding her gears or what's going on in her life, and it's always interesting. She's always talking like really, really funny trash, and it's just extremely enjoyable to watch. And she plays a lot of cool games too. She'll play like the Elden Rings and all the tough games, Death Stranding 2, all the games that might seem a little bit intimidating or overwhelming for me. She's playing them, so it's a really great person to go watch play these games. And then she has a really cute dog named Pogger, so he is certainly a highlight of her streams as well. So please go check out Sarah Podzorski or Sarahpods anywhere you can find her on the internet. All right, so my last favorite streamer of the year is a new one. So Rachel K and Sarahpods I've been watching for some years now. I think Rachel K for maybe a couple years and Sarahpods more than that. But one of my new favorite streamers of the year, who's not a new streamer, but he's kind of new, a new follow for me, and that is Mike Minotti, who I mentioned earlier. He goes as Tolkoto on Twitch and on YouTube. So, and I believe that's for J.R.R. Tolkien and Miyamoto put together. So he's Tolkoto, and he's Mike Minotti, but a lot of people call him Mitch. He's just an extremely fun watch. I don't know what it is about him. It's like his disposition or his nature. He just seems very relaxed and chill. He seems like that, but I think he has a lot of like quirks to him as well. But he's just a very interesting guy. He's fun to watch. I think he just seems like a nice person is what you get from him. And he comes off pretty earnest and genuine. And I enjoy that about Mr. Mitch Minotti. So he's one of my new favorite follows on the internet. Please follow him on Twitch. Follow him on YouTube. You can watch his VODs from Twitch, which I think is nice. So I've been watching his, I think it's called Tolkoto VODs on YouTube. So he's been pretty consistent about if he streams on Twitch one night, the next day you can watch the VOD on YouTube. So that's pretty nice to do to catch up. He just released the Gamer Rap 2 on YouTube, which is amazing and something I actually listened to before this podcast to kind of pump me up a little bit. I don't know where to find the Gamer Rap 1, but I'd like to listen to that if I ever could. And the Gamer Rap 2 is excellent. He talks about an Expedition 33, Turn 34. He's got the skills. He cooks the brisket on grills. They call him Mitch, 'cause you's a bitch. I said they call me Mitch, 'cause you's a bitch. He played Mega Man 3, Super Mario 3, and Tony Hawk 3, and Halo 3. It's really, really good. Go listen to Gamer Rap 2 on YouTube. And then Mitch also does the Giant Bombcast, the voicemail dump truck, which I've also mentioned. And then he's also a big fan of Disney, which he gets a lot of shit for, but I think it's just a genuine passion of his. And he does a podcast with his brothers Chris and AJ called 90s Disney. So please go support Mike Minotti anywhere you can. And then just a quick sad note on Mr. Mike. He announced on his Twitch last night on his stream that his dog Penny passed away, which I believe was a dog he's had for a long time and certainly loved. And that stuff really, really tugs at my heart. So just, T's and P's to Mitch for his dog Penny passing away. And just very, very sad. So just, he was streaming last night still, which is really, really cool to see. I took it as he was trying to distract himself a little bit. So, sending all the well wishes out there to Mike and anybody who loved his dog Penny along with him. So shout out to you, Mitch, as just a great guy to follow on the internet and one of my favorite streamers of the year. So those are my 3 favorite streamers of the year. I wanted to tell you about Rachel K, Sarah Pods, and Mike Minotti. All right, so those are the first 2 categories so far for the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025. Highlighting some of my favorite things. And last one before we get into some winners and things like that, I want to tell you what my favorite YouTube channels of the year are. So these are all things that I really enjoy watching. I really enjoy listening to podcasts, streams, and YouTube. It's the main form of entertainment that I like to watch outside of sports. I don't really watch too many TV shows or movies or things like that. So this is, the main source of my entertainment. So I just want to come here and highlight those, and maybe you like these channels as well, or maybe this will be something you can be interested in the future. But my favorite YouTube channels of the year, I want to start with, I think this one is my favorite, and that's Double Jump Video Games, and that's Mr. Sick Cooper. So there are 2 channels here, actually 3 channels here to follow, or a couple things here to follow, but Double Jump Video Games is a video game store located in Vancouver, Washington. They just moved to a new location this year, so they upgraded their store to a bigger location. So it's very, very cool. They do like daily trade videos. They do videos on YouTube, what's going on with their store. They do like video game, like talking to customers and things like that. So it's very, very interesting to watch. And something I've learned like in the last year is I really enjoy watching some of these video game store content things out there, because it's just a way to, see some video games. Excuse me. But Double Jump Video Games is a great YouTube channel. They also have a Double Jump Extras channel, which they haven't posted to in a couple months, but I think that's just because they moved to the new store. But another one just to keep tabs on. And then one of the owners, I guess it's Sick Cooper. It's Cooper and Abby are the 2 owners of Double Jump Video Games. And Sick Cooper also has his own channel. So Coop has a channel where he talks about his own video game collection. He goes on game hunts on there. It's just a little more personal of what's going on with him. So it's just another really great channel to follow as well, because he is another one. Just seems like a really cool guy, fun to follow, interesting, knows a lot about video games, and it seems like he runs a successful video game business. So he's just a cool one to follow and listen to and see what's going on with. And Double Jump, also, they stream on the app Whatnot. So I don't know. I know a lot of people have a negative connotation with Whatnot, but I think they do Whatnot in the best fashion. They're the only channel I even watch on Whatnot, because it's basically like a live stream inside their store each night. So basically throughout the week, Monday through Friday, you can check out Double Jump Video Games on Whatnot. They're going to be streaming, over at my time on the East Coast, it's 8 to 10 p.m. Excuse me. So they'll stream for a couple hours. All they do is walk around their store. They'll generally show the new trades that they have in the store first. So they'll have those back on the counter, all the new trades that came in that they've cleaned up and stickered that are ready for sale. And they'll say, hey, you want to buy any of these? Here's the price. Here's the condition. They'll show them to you. And then after that, they'll kind of go walk around the store, say, hey, do you want to look at N64? Here's what we got in stock today. Oh, you want to look at Mario Kart N64? Here's the condition. Oh, there's just a little bit of a scrape on the label. And you get to see like the ebbs and flows of a video game store. So as someone who loves video games, it's extremely interesting to watch. And all the people that work for the store have a cool personality. They all seem like nice people. So just, shout out to Double Jump Video Games. It's Coop, it's Abby, it's Ryan, it's Jess, it's Bobby, it's Colton, and Ariel. And I probably missed somebody in there, but those are the consistent ones that you see in the videos, the consistent ones that you see on stream or on Whatnot. And it's just super enjoyable to watch. I've gotten hours and hours and hours upon entertainment from watching these people, and I hope to continue to do that in the new year and many to come. So please go follow Double Jump Video Games. Go follow Sick Cooper and go follow them on Whatnot, or go to their store if you are able to on the West Coast. I would love to go to their store one day. They do have a website normally. It's been down since they moved to their new store because they're changing inventory software. So it seems like sometime this year the website's going to be back up so you can order from them directly, which I've done in the past. And if you're looking to buy some retro or vintage or classic video games, whatever you want to call them, I think they're one of the best stores to do it. They have very fair pricing, and I think the best part about them is they really take care and condition and are transparent about the condition of their items, and they generally try to take pride in their items looking really, really good. I've gotten extremely great condition of old games from them, and I think that's one of the things they pride themselves on, and I definitely hear them talk about that quite a bit. So just a fun thing to do, because if I'm buying an older game, I'm generally wanting to be in okay condition because I'm not buying a ton of older games and I want them to look nice. So please go follow Double Jump Video Games, one of my favorite YouTube channels of the year. All right, another one of my favorite YouTube channels of the year is one I found this year and I really, really love, and I think this is it is part of my daily life at this point, and that's P Leaf. So please go follow P Leaf. That's her channel, Pealeaf. She, from what I can tell, is just a really great musician. She has videos on her YouTube of her singing songs or covers from like different video games. She has some amazing ones for Persona 3, were the ones that I really got turned on to, but she also has some for Claire Obscure, Stellar Blade, Liza P, and she just has all sorts of music on her YouTube channel. And then she'll also do some streaming on YouTube, and I believe she streams on Twitch as well, but I watch her on YouTube, where she will just play music live. You can request songs. She's going to play things. She was just playing wintry songs the other day for the winter or for after Christmas. And she has a beautiful voice. She seems like she has a cool personality. And she also uploads her music to Spotify, I guess Apple Music, so you can go follow her there. I'll oftentimes just shuffle her music on Spotify. She was probably my favorite. I think she was definitely in my top 5 of favorite artists to listen to. Some of her Persona 3 covers are my favorite songs of the year. Things I play every day. I definitely played Color Your Light and It's Going Down. I was listening to those this morning before this show, just to put me, to get me ready for podcasting and uplift my spirit and put me in a good mood. I think most of her music does that. Some of it's very emotional. Some of it I think she sings better than the original version. So I think it's just her specific voice. So if you are into any type of music from like Persona or video games, and you want to hear like a beautiful original spin or take on it, please go listen to P Leaf or go follow her channel. I think she is extremely awesome, and I'll be listening to her music. I think it's going to be a battle. I think she's going to be fighting up there for my Spotify rap next year, and for many years to come, I hope. So shout out to you, P Leaf. I really, really love your voice out there. All right, my last favorite YouTube channel of the year to talk about that I really enjoy. I talk about Double Jump running a video game store, and I follow this other person for kind of the same thing, and that is Arkansas Picker. He is he's the picker because he goes picking for video games and other things to sell. He kind of resells things, and he, in the last year, has opened his own store. He has Pickers Retro in Benton, Arkansas. So if you're ever around there, please go check out Picker. It's inside the last arcade, so he has set up shop inside the arcade. So I think even if Picker's not there working, I think you can still go shop his wares. He also has a flea market booth. He sells at video game convention, so you can see him out there. And he has a great YouTube, and I think he even has a Patreon. So please go check him out. He posts every Monday. His videos, he comes off as very, very genuine. He has a good sense of humor. His videos are very fun and just down to earth. It's basically, you'll see him hopping in his car. I think he got a new truck this year. He'll be hopping in his truck, trying to go get some breakfast, trying to go hit up some yard sales. And he's not really doing any slimy tactics. You get to see him wheeling and dealing out there, cutting deals with people, talking to interesting people coming into his store. You get to see some of his regulars come through and the relationship he has with them. He had a moment with one of his regulars, like sold one of his expensive games kind of on hard times, and him and a couple other guys in their like Discord community put their money together and went and found the copy and bought it back for him. Just one of those like tearjerker moments, and just really, really sweet, and it just seems like a really, really good guy. One of my favorite things to start my Monday off with is watching an Arkansas Picker video. And so please go show the Arkansas Picker some love out there on YouTube or in a store or wherever you can. All right, so those are my favorite YouTube channels of the year. Double Jump Video Games, P Leaf, and Arkansas Picker. All right, so that's a celebration of all my favorite entertainment things of the year, my favorite other podcasts, my favorite other streamers, or my favorite streamers, or my favorite YouTube channels of the year. But now for the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025. Let's get into the video game talk. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4 categories ending in the best video game of the year. So let's get into it. All right, the first category, video game wise, is my favorite console of the year. So I'm going to start. There are two consoles here I want to mention. One's the runner-up and one's the winner. So the runner-up is going to be the PlayStation 5. I've had this console since the summer of 2022 now, so I think that's 3 full years with the console. I still really like the controller. I think it's one of the most comfortable, best ergonomic feeling controllers that there is. Even though the battery doesn't last too long on it, I think it's just, if you have a backup controller, I think that's really nice. But I think the controller on here, it feels special every time you hold it. It feels futuristic. It feels modern. And I think it's one of my favorite controllers of all time, I can say. I'm even liking the weird design of the actual console more and more over time. I've been having my PS5 standing vertically. I think it looks okay. And I like that it's unique. I like that it has its own style. I like that. I'm just liking that more over time. I thought originally it looked kind of strange or weird, but I think just, as my love grows with the console over time, I'm accepting of maybe more of its quirks or things that I thought originally. So that's something that I've been noticing too. I really like the ability to play most generations of PlayStation on this. I think that's pretty amazing. I think they do a great job of that. As someone who's got back into like classic or vintage or retro video games recently, I did buy a PS2, but I ended up trading it back in because just not having as much reason to keep it around, because they do a great job of putting all these backwards compatible games either like on a new collection or just uploading a port of it to the store or whatever it may be. There's plenty of ways to go through and play some older games on a PlayStation 5. And all your PlayStation 4 discs work, all your PlayStation 5 discs work, obviously. And they have a great selection of games from PS3, PS2, and PS1. I think the graphics on this console still look elite. And I think I like the UI is becoming more customizable. So they're giving us some more options out there to make the UI look a little more tailored to what you want it to look like. And I think that's pretty nice. So I've been having a fun time with the PlayStation 5 all year. It's definitely been a great console for me completing some games. It's got me back into completing some games. I think I've played the majority of the Spider-Mans, Ratchet and Clank, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've been playing some games this year on it. I played Astrobot last year. So I've just been really having a great time with this console. And I think I did think about it a little bit for the winner of this, but it's the runner-up this year, because the winner of my favorite console of the year is a console that released this year that I was extremely excited for, and I believe has lived up to the hype, and that's the Nintendo Switch 2. The winner of my favorite console of the year. This released on June 5th, 2025. I enjoy that this console is more comfortable in handheld, even though it's a little bit bigger. I just think, again, with this, the ergonomics of it feel really great. The weight distribution feels better, and it has a bigger screen, which is nice, and it's more comfortable. So I think the handheld aspect of this is nicer. The Pro 2 controller is extremely elite. I think it's up there. I think it's maybe, if I think the PlayStation 5 controller is the best, I think maybe it's just like 1A to that or something. The Pro 2 controller is very expensive, but it's extremely elite. It's crazy to be playing older games with that controller. It's crazy to be playing modern Nintendo games with that controller, and even playing some of these third-party things that I talked about that are running better on the Nintendo Switch 2. The magnetic Joy-Cons feel really good. I've been playing more with the Joy-Cons detached on the Switch 2 than I ever have with the Switch 1. I think maybe because the screen's bigger, I'm not sure. Maybe because the Joy-Cons are a little bit bigger as well. It's just more comfortable. I think everything with this console is more comfortable, and the kickstand on there is nice. So, having the setup of just a little screen with the kickstand, pulling the magnets off or throwing the magnets back on, it's just a really, really nice feeling, and it's just an extremely cool design. The new dock is nice. The bigger screen is nice. And the Switch 2 has been running third-party stuff well. I think it's been a little bit hit or miss, but I think generally over time, I think this is going to be perfectly capable of running a lot of third-party stuff. It's not going to obviously be running it as great as the PlayStation 5 or like a modern PC or whatever it may be. But for people who aren't able to play those games elsewhere, or who do enjoy handheld, will take a little bit of less fidelity to play in handheld, I think the Switch 2 is, I think it's full steam ahead. I think it's having a really great year. I know it's having a really great year sales-wise. I think there is an argument to say, hey, it's a Switch 2 or it's a Switch Pro. I think it totally is. I think the lineup of Switch exclusives is becoming greater over time, and it only will be getting greater. So I think it's an excellent console. I think if you like the Switch 1 in any way, you're going to enjoy a Switch 2, would be my selling point. And I think if you've never had one, I think having the Switch 1 and 2 library able to be played on this thing is extremely awesome. And I think you could play video games for the rest of your life with this console if you ever needed to. There's a million games on here. There's a million different genres, categories, and having the third-party stuff run on here better is just extremely exciting. And that is all some of the reasons that Switch 2 is a winner of my favorite console of the year. I think this really lived up to the hype. I got this thing at midnight. I was playing Mario Kart World at midnight, and I've been enjoying the exclusives. I've been enjoying the indies. I've been enjoying some of the older games I already own, them running better, and I've just had a blast with this console. So I really think it's exciting that it lived up to the hype for me, and it's my favorite console of the year, 2025, the Nintendo Switch 2. All right, let's get into another category. This one is going to be the best video game from a prior year. So this is a category I've been doing for the last couple of years. And this one, you'll play some new games during the year. Maybe you'll play some old games during the year. And this is the category where I want to rank some games from prior years and what I think. And I want to start with some other games that were considered that did not quite make the winner or the runner-up. So some other games I considered were Super Mario RPG. I did complete that this year, and I really enjoyed that game. I liked a lot of the characters in the game, like Mallow and Gino. I haven't completed many RPGs in my life, so this is really one of the only ones. Definitely more of an old school kind of top-down RPG that I completed. I really like the timing mechanics and the battling. I really like the art style. I really just like the whimsy and the humor of the world. And it did have some difficult areas in there. I had to use a guide a little bit at the end to kind of figure out some strategies, but overall I had a great time with this game, and just really unusual for me to kind of go back this far into the past and complete a game. So opening up some new territory for me, which is nice, and I have plans to play some more Mario RPGs, particularly Paper Mario Thousand Year Door would be the next one on my list to play, and I think I would have a lot of fun with that. But Super Mario RPG, I guess this remake came out a couple years ago, and it was considered for one of my favorite games from a prior year for this year. All right, another game that falls in the category of considered best video game from a prior year would be Gears of War 4. This is a game I completed this year. I've completed Gears of 1, 2, and 3. Those are some of my favorite games of all time. And this kind of marks the turn to a new era a little bit here with Gears of War 4. But it's an extremely good video game. I think if I played these co-op, it would be even more fun. But running through the story solo was fun. The shooting in this game still feels great. The little bit of story going on to keep things moving is fun. This one has like the new girl in there, and then also has Marcus Phoenix's son. The girl in here is going to be the lead character in Gears 5, so that one is still kind of on my backlog of something to play. And then we have Gears of War E-Day coming out this year, which is more of a prequel before E-Day actually happened. So going back to young Marcus Phoenix. So this is a franchise that I have a lot of reverence and love for, and definitely considered giving this a nod on best video game from a prior year, but it's just under the others considered, Gears of War 4. There were like two other games that I considered for this that I played this year that I really love that are from prior years, but they're kind of games that I've already completed before, and that would be Super Mario Galaxy, which got released on Switch in a package with Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. So I played through Mario Galaxy. I love that game. That game's going to be talked about a little bit more in another category. So I didn't feel the need to put it in this list. And another one in that same vein would be, what was the other game? There was one other one, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. That's something I played a good bit of this year, actually earlier in the year on PlayStation 2. I played some on GameCube. I played the new release of 3 and 4 on Switch when it came out, and I was kind of disappointed with that port since I had just been playing a lot of the original and just how good that runs. And then I ended up getting the same game on PlayStation 5 later in the year, and that actually runs incredibly well. So I've played a lot of Tony Hawk 3 throughout the year. I haven't really jumped into 4 yet in either one of these trials with this game yet, but that's been one of my favorite games of all time for a long time. And going back to it, I'm kind of saving this category best video game from a prior year for maybe like newer stuff that I've played for the first time or completed for the first time. So, even like Super Mario RPG, that could have maybe been a stronger contender for this. But, hey, that's just kind of my thoughts on it this year. But just some other games that I really enjoy that I'm going to talk about a little bit. I'm going to talk about, I'll be talking about one of those at least a little bit more as we go forward here. Well, I'll be talking about both of those a little bit more, so that's just a little bit of a spoiler alert. But So those are other games considered for best video game from a prior year: Super Mario RPG and Gears of War 4. All right, the game that I want to name as the runner-up for best video game from a prior year is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So this has really been a strong year for Mario Kart for me. We saw Mario Kart World get released for the Nintendo Switch 2, and that also had me going back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to try to finish up some things over there that I was doing. And I still haven't finished them up because there is a ton of content in this game, and that is why it is winning, it's why it's the runner-up for best video game from a prior year. So very, very good. I really appreciate the number of different characters in this game and the courses in this game. So this one has characters from all different franchises, which is nice, which is going to be a little bit of a change up from Mario Kart World. The courses are really challenging in here and really allow you to follow the ABD, which I like to say, always be drifting. The courses in here are pretty varied. And I'm still working on the Grand Prix. I like to go through these games and complete all the Grand Prix on different speeds. But in this game, if you buy the DLC, which I highly recommend you do if you like this game, it totally doubles the courses in the game and pretty much adds, I think, some of the best courses in the entire package. So I'm still working on the Grand Prix, trying to get up there to the higher difficulties, some of the mirror speeds, things like that. I'm pretty close. I think I'm probably over 2/3 of the way, maybe 3/4 of the way of completing those and just kind of making those over time. So that's been the main thing I've been doing this year, playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, has been working through the Grand Prix. Isabelle, Diddy Kong, and Link are some of my favorite racers in this one. And I never really played too much online in this game besides playing with some friends kind of back when the game released. But the majority of my time this year has been spent, running through the Grand Prix, trying to get the gold trophies on each one of them and trying to make some progress. So Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a wonderful video game. This is something that I need to decide later in the future which is my favorite Mario Kart game. And I think I need a little bit of time away from this year because I played a lot of Mario Kart. I need some more time to play some more Mario Karts, but I definitely think it's one of my favorite franchises of all time. It's a little bit hard to think of which would be my favorite, and that's a little bit of a conundrum I'm in, I would say. But runner-up for best video game from a prior year is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a wonderful, amazing, I think a 10 out of 10 video game. All right, another video game that I think falls in that category, maybe even more, or I guess even more because it's the winner, is the best video game from a prior year. I wrote here, this is maybe my favorite video game moment of the year. This is the first game in this franchise I've ever completed. I talked about this endlessly on the show of trying to complete it. I got a bunch of crap from my friends about not completing this. So it just feels like one of my best video game accomplishments, something I'm definitely proud of. And the winner of the best video game from a prior year is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yes, you've heard that correctly. I have completed a Zelda game, and I just walk around the world now with a little bit extra pep in my step. I feel a little bit more of a real gamer out here, and I really am a true fan. I really love this game, and I think this game could really, really get in contention for one of my favorite games of all time. It could really, really run a race for the top slot. I don't think it's quite there yet, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a bit. But, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a wonderful, outstanding video game. It released in 2017. I have plans to play more of this game over time. This is something I would like to just play more of, try to complete as much of it as I can, see how many shrines I can do, see how many Korok seeds I can get, see how much armor and different outfits I can collect. And, what do I like about this? I like that Link is so much fun to control, fly around, fight with. I started kind of looking at this game as a platformer at some point, or partially a platformer, and that kind of being the fun. And it really just controlling Link is a lot of the fun here. I also enjoy changing the armor. I enjoy trying to cook and save up my money and sell things so I can buy the armor. The Sheik armor is probably still my favorite between this one and Tears of the Kingdom. Cooking is one of my favorite activities, not only for the collection around the world of the exploring and picking things up and then taking them and cooking them and selling them, and then being able to have a little scratch in your pocket is nice. That's been kind of the main loop I've been using to get money in my pocket for Breath of the Wild, and something that I just find to be a really, really fun activity in that game as something to do. I enjoy the horseback riding. I enjoy the shield surfing so much. That's part of the platforming I like. I like trying to find the Korok seeds. I had a fun time with the Divine Beast. I appreciate the open worldness of this world, but I also appreciate that there are some clear goals that you can go do to try to achieve your goal of taking down Calamity Ganon. So it's basically, you get thrown into the world, it says go kill Calamity Ganon, but then also as you go along, you find out that, hey, taking down these Divine Beasts or getting them to come to your side can really, really help you to complete this game. So you go to Zora's Domain, you go to Goron City, you go to Rito Village and Gerudo Town. I think the Rito people are some of my favorites in the Zelda universe, and I feel very accomplished for completing these divine beasts because they are just, a giant dungeon in themselves. I definitely had to use a guide to complete them, but I made it through, and I just can't believe I saw credits on this game. I can't believe I took down Ganon. I climbed to the castle at the end. I fought him. There was multiple iterations of the fight at the end, and that was one of those moments, like throw my hands up in the air, like I can't believe I just did this, and pretty amazing feeling to get from a video game. I enjoy the music. I enjoy the art style. I think the Nintendo Switch 2 upgrades are visually impressive. I don't think they are completely necessary to play this game, but I really do think it puts the game in a new light, and I guess it helped get me over the hump of completing this game, maybe. I don't know. But it's just really, really cool. I think this is a perfect video game. I think Tears of the Kingdom is perfect as well. I've been catching up on the story vignettes, which are really, really nice. I love all the Zelda cutscenes and just learning more about Zelda in general. And then the picture taking around the world is fun. Taking inventory of all the characters and creatures and plants and just all the things around the world in this game that make it up are amazing. And I think it's a little bit of like the trees through the forest while you're playing this game, that it's a little bit tough to see the full package, but coming out the other side, I think everything this game does is incredible and something that I can just see myself playing over time, just jumping back into it, almost as like a comfort game or something at this point. It was just so much fun being in that world. I still have Tears of the Kingdom to roll credits on at some point. I've put almost 80 hours into Tears of the Kingdom. I have more Divine Beasts to take down there, and that's maybe something, a little bit of a goal to do at some point. Try to go take down those Divine Beasts, and then maybe decide a little bit of the differences between, what I like different between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. That's something I could see myself doing in the future. But best video game from a prior year, the winner is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I really, really love that game. And if you can't tell, I'm proud that I completed it. And, one of my biggest accomplishments here on the Dep Lewis Show, I would say. So best video game from a prior year, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And we had the runner-up, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and others considered were Super Mario RPG and Gears of War 4. All right. 2 more categories to go. 1 more category, and then we got Best Video Game of the Year. So this next category is a new one for this year. It's something I want to do year over year to kind of see how this changes, see if anything new from the year gets added possibly, and that is my best 10 video games of all time. So I'm going to start doing this each year going forward. Some of the games I already talked about on this show are going to be mentioned in here, but let's get into it. So I'm going to start at number 10. The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind from 2002. So I'm definitely a fan of Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. I think this one holds the most space in my heart for love or affinity, just being the first one I played. This is a game I learned about reading a Game Informer magazine, and this one actually got delayed. So whenever this is back in the day, 2002 I'm talking about. So I got the Game Informer magazine. I see this game. I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life, video game wise, and I want to play this. So it's one of those things that whatever it had the date in there for the release date. So whenever that came around, my mom and I pull up to GameStop. We go to the store and they say, hey, sorry, this game's actually not out today. It's been delayed. So I have to wait a couple more months. I actually go get this game on the release day when it comes out in a couple more months. And I can remember sitting in my room, putting that in, the feeling of just being super excited about playing this game. And it lived up to the hype and more. This was a game I played with my friends, even I saw my cousin over Christmas. He remembers playing this game with me. And this was something my friends got this game. We all had our own files. This is kind of the days where you might carry your Xbox over to a friend's house. We would maybe even set up 2 TVs in one room and play together. So just a really, really great time of video gaming in my life. And I think if I have to pick, my favorite games of all time, I think this one is just a really, really big standout. And that's what I kind of like to think about with these games, of just, if I can think about this game and just get like a warm, fuzzy feeling, I think it deserves to be on this list. And even if another one of the games in this, I'm really, really just putting like the emotional weight on how I pick these games, especially if there's more than one in a series, of making sure I pick the one that I think is just most impactful to me. So the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, my 10th best video game of all time. All right, number 9, Uncharted 2. So this one came out in 2009. I think this one is an elite 10/10, excellent experience all the way through, very, very cinematic. I remember playing Uncharted 1 as kind of my shock moment here, as being mainly an Xbox gamer. And then I got the PlayStation 3 at some point and tried out this franchise called Uncharted. I remember Nathan Drake walking through the water and getting his clothes wet, which is mind-blowing to me back in the day. The gunplay, the riding around on jet skis, a little bit of like Indiana Jones nature to it, all the platforming in these games. And then, getting to Uncharted 2 was just like they took, I don't know, like I'm going to say, took all the ideas from the first one and made it better, but just a roller coaster of a ride through a video game, and all being extremely fun. The pacing in it's done extremely well. It's fast moving. There's never really a boring moment in Uncharted 2. The graphics are amazing. The scenery is beautiful. The gunplay is fun. The characters are cool. And pretty much, I find myself liking story in video game where it's just enough to carry things along. It's not too overhanded or too much. And I think they do a perfect job of blending the story here. And I think Uncharted 2 is the best in the series. I've completed 1, 2, and 3. I've played a good portion of 4. I would like to complete that someday, but I kind of take these first 3. I guess the 4 is the culmination of it, but it was released a good bit after. But these 3 games being released in rapid fire succession was amazing. And Uncharted 2 is my 9th favorite video game of all time. All right, this game I talked about earlier in the show, and my 8th favorite video game of all time is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. So this is another one. And I guess that is going to be the case for most of these games where I just love the franchise. Elder Scrolls, Uncharted, and now Tony Hawk. There are many Tony Hawk games I love, but I think this is my favorite one. And I think I've done enough investigating this year. You know, I would have told you before this year even started that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 was my favorite game. And then I actually went back into the well and played it. I played the original version this year. I played the remastered version. And I just think it's the best blend of levels, best blend of objectives. This is where the revert was introduced in Tony Hawk, and I think that's like a monumental moment in Tony Hawk history, so I don't think that can be denied with this game at all. Going back to, they remade the 1 and 2, they're adding the revert in there, so just for a mechanic that's extremely cool. I think the cruise ship is my favorite Tony Hawk level of all time. I think it has the best section for getting high scores down there at the bottom. There's like a half pipe down there at the bottom. You jump through some glass. There's like some overhangs above it, and that's just a place where you can get some. I think the top goal is to get 1 million score on there, and I think I doubled it up when I played it on the new version because it runs so well on there. So if you want to play these games, either go play the original on PlayStation 2 or GameCube, or go play the new updated version. Maybe not on Switch 1, but go play it on PlayStation 5, or maybe play like the Switch 2 version. I haven't tried the Switch 2 version. I don't know how much of a difference it makes. But an extremely great video game, one that holds a special place in my heart from back in the day and holds a special place in my heart in the future. And this was a game back in the day that my friends and I, you could put your own custom soundtracks on Xbox, and we listened to our own custom soundtrack all the way through this. It was actually the Will Smith album Born to Reign, so that just really shows you how much of a blast from the past. But Will Smith, I guess his public liking has really taken a dive. But back in the day, Fresh Prince, Big Willie, Men in Black, I guess Enemy of the State. Is that movie? Yeah, like just super action movie star to the highest degree, and then he's out there rapping. I'm a young kid back in those days thinking he's just extremely cool and eating all of that up. So we kind of laugh about liking that album to this day, but it's just a huge nostalgia blast listening to that. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, my 8th favorite video game of all time. All right, we're going to get into a little Nintendo block here that I'm noticing. My 7th favorite video game of all time is something that I talked about earlier, and it is something that I think can move up this list in the future, and that is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild from 2017. This was a game I just talked about a bit ago. It's my first Zelda game I've ever completed. I think I've played most of the Zelda games, and it's just been one of those monkeys on my back. It's finally off my back, and I definitely do feel like I'm breathing air a little bit different out here in the world after completing a Zelda game, and I'm just very, very happy about it. I think this game, I'm going to play more of it over time, so I think it could definitely grow on this list. And I think it could even grow on this list even if I don't play anymore and just kind of look back next year. But I had to put it somewhere on this list this year, and I think the number 7 slot is where The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is going to reside. All right. My 6th favorite game of all time is from 2022. It is a Game of the Year winner for Dep Lewis Show from 2022. And another one that I could see moving up over time, and that's Splatoon 3. I never really played Splatoon 1 or Splatoon 2. I played Splatoon 3, and I played the hell out of it. I still play it to this day. I look forward to those Splatfests that come out in those, almost more than anything in video games. There's actually a Splatfest coming up to start the new year. It's not the first weekend of the new year, but it's the one after, so I'll definitely be playing in that and talking about it on the Dep Lewis Show. And I love everything about this game, but my favorite thing are the online matches. They are very, very quick. They are extremely fun to play, and you can play them over and over and over and over again. And I even enjoy the motion controls in this game. I use the gyro controls. Never thought I would be into that. I love the music. I love the characters. I love the style. I love the outfits you can change on these characters. I love the Splatfest. And Splatoon 3. I have some Splatoon 3 amiibos that were gifted to me by a friend of the show, Stupu, that I hold dear to my heart. And just a really, really great video game. It's one that I can think about and just feel happy and think about all my good times with it. And I really have, I guess with all these games, just have all really, really positive feelings thinking about them, thinking about how they, just made your life better. And Splatoon 3 definitely has made my life better. That's why it's the 6th best video game of all time. All right, number 5. I think these two were kind of interchangeable, or was a tough toss-up, but I think I have to put this one here for just the amount of hours I put into it and just for the amount of love I have for this game just on the periphery and, how much I think about it on my day-to-day basis. I guess I kind of do that with Splatoon 3, but this one maybe it's just a little bit more, and that's Animal Crossing New Horizons from 2020, my 5th favorite game of all time. I spent over 300, maybe 400 hours playing this game. I have started a new file recently, maybe trying to get back into it. There is an update coming out for Switch 2 at the beginning of this next year. There's actually some free content coming to the game too for Switch 2 and 1. So kind of a good reason to maybe get back into it. But I fell in love with this franchise playing New Leaf on I guess that was the 3DS. And then really, really falling in love with this game when it came out on the Switch in 2020. Tom Nook, KK Slider is one of my favorite characters of all time, I would have to say. Just the music in this world. There's a little bit of whimsy. There's definitely a lot of charm to this world. There's definitely some fun mechanics. It's definitely relaxing. This is definitely a cozy game for me. And just something, I don't know if I'll ever recapture that magic of playing this game. I guess I've had it with New Leaf, and they did it again with New Horizons, so I can hope so. But this was a pretty special thing. This was, I don't know, I guess early into me kind of owning the Switch. I didn't get the Switch immediately at launch, so this would have been like, one of the first early games I played on the Switch. One of the most handheld games I ever played on the Switch for sure. I probably played half of those 300 or 400 hours in handheld, which is really, really cool. And, maybe marks a little bit of shift of my mindset of getting into the handheld side of gaming a little bit more. And I keep doing that as time goes on. So, I don't know. I love this game, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Isabelle, also one of my favorite characters of all time. Her, and I think Isabelle is my favorite character from here, followed by KK. And then I guess we'd have to get into Tom Nook and maybe some of the other like residents around town, probably get some of those up there, like in my favorite characters from Animal Crossing New Horizons. But a wonderful video game, and definitely worthy of my number 5 slot on top 10 video games of all time. All right, we're into the top 4. So number 4 is The Last of Us Part 1 from 2013. So this, thinking about this game, I really do think this was kind of like a turning point in my video gaming. Back in the day, I don't think I ever completed too many story games up until this point, and this one kind of swung me on a little bit of a trajectory. I guess this and Uncharted kind of got me into the down the rabbit hole of completing some like solo third-person games. And this game, I don't know, or this franchise is always going to be special to me. I don't know if this game will ever be off this list, but The Last of Us Part 1, Joel and Ellie, super cool story. Very emotional. These games can, bring me to tears. They're extremely fun. Just really, really memorable. I can relate to some of like the emotional stuff going on here. I think they really tug at your heartstrings in a great way. And then I think these games like visually look amazing. The gunplay in the game plays great. These are games that can even get me into stealth a little bit. And I just really, really love this franchise. And The Last of Us Part 1 is number 4 best video game of all time. All right. My number 3 favorite video game of all time is Halo 3 from 2007. The Halo franchise, one of my favorites of all time. Another one I could pick 1 or 2. I've completed almost every game in this series. I've definitely completed all the mainline stuff. I think the only ones I haven't completed would maybe be Reach. I know I haven't completed ODST. I've played a good portion of it. And then I don't know if I've completed Reach, but I've completed everything else. I've completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've completed Infinite. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in there. But I've played probably more hours of Halo than, I don't know, it would be up there in other video games. Playing multiplayer with my friends. I remember the day I got Halo 1. I remember the day I got Halo 2. I remember the day I got Halo 3. Halo 3 was one of the biggest midnight releases of all time. This was right around the time that, college time for me, so some of my friends were going away to college. They were able to play. I think a couple of my friends beat this game overnight on the first night it came out. I beat this campaign with multiple people on different difficulties, played online with multiple people, and I think Halo 3 was the apex of the franchise for me, or it just kind of hit during the perfect time of my life, being a huge fan of 1. I didn't really know about 1 before the build-up, before it came out. I had a neighbor that told me about it, and the neighbor actually drove me to go buy it, and really, really got into Halo 1, and then Halo 2 was like a known commodity, and that came out just on a school day, and I remember my mom picked me up from school and had bought the game for me during the day, and I still have that copy to this day. I think that's one of the, I think that is the oldest video game that I still own for my collection, and then Halo 3, it just reminds me of all my friends, getting into college time, playing multiplayer, playing the campaign, and, Halo 1, Halo 2, played tons of it, but just Halo 3 just, I guess, kind of feels like where Halo opened up to the world in the most like extreme fashion. And Halo 3, there definitely has to be a, I could have maybe even put 1 or 2 on this list. I don't know, but if I have to, like I'm saying, if I have to pick which one, tugs at my heart the most, I think it's Halo 3 from 2007, and that's my 3rd favorite video game of all time. All right, we're getting close to the top here of favorite games of all time, and number 2 is a guy you've probably been wondering where he is, and that's Mario. And Super Mario Galaxy is my number 2 favorite video game of all time, 2007. This is one of the only games I've ever 100%ed. I ran through the main story of this year when they released this game again on Switch. I still remember most of it. I still remember most of the jumps. I still remember most of the puzzles, most of everything going on in this video game. I love the way this game looks. I love the music in this video game. It just, nothing else really like it. Rosalina's such a cool character. One of the surprise endings at the end is really, really fun. There's a great way to go play through this game again if you want to. The follow-up, Mario Galaxy 2, extremely good, but I just don't know if it ever, held up for me. I never completed Galaxy 2. I need to in the future, but just holding a special place in my heart with Super Mario Galaxy. It has the exact platforming that I like. It's difficult. It's fun. I remember the first time I saw this game was at a kiosk in a GameStop and playing that. And then this was a game I actually purchased before even getting the Wii. The Wii was hard to find, and I actually had this game before even having a console. And just extremely cool. Always going to be one of my best video game memories of all time. Even the motion controls in it are pretty fun. And I don't know if Mario can top this for me. I think Mario Odyssey's up there. I think Super Mario World's pretty high up there for me. I think maybe one of the DS games, that's New Super Mario Bros. 2. I really like the side-scroller one. And just as a franchise, I love some Mario. And Mario Galaxy is my number 2 favorite video game of all time. All right. My number 1 favorite video game of all time. If you listen to the show in any form or fashion, you probably know what it is. If you listen to this list already, you probably know what it is because there's a little bit of a clue in there. But this game has been my favorite game of all time ever since it's been released. I think there's been a few games that have come and challenged it, but I think as time goes on, I think it's standing firm. I think it's still standing firm, and that is The Last of Us Part 2. And dang, yeah, I really love that game. Just a really, really cool story. I think Ellie's one of my favorite video game characters of all time. I really, really like the revenge story that they're talking about in this and how far you should kind of go for revenge. And if you actually get the revenge, how you're going to be after that. And if you should even go through with the revenge. And I think it's a pretty cool thing. It's a pretty grueling video game. It goes on for a long time. It has the perspective change in there that happens that I think is extremely cool and was one of the, like a breathtaking moment in the video game or jaw-dropping moment. Super memorable, and they executed on it. And then pulling it back together at the end with all the Ellie stuff, just extremely memorable. And I think if I have to have an argument for like favorite characters, Ellie's definitely in the conversation. And I don't know if anything will ever surpass this as my favorite game of all time, but it's been holding it down, and it's still holding it down, and we'll see how it holds it down next year as well. So The Last of Us Part 2, my favorite video game of all time. Dang. Who would know talking about all your favorite things would, make you get a little bit emotional. So, all right, Last of Us Part 2, extremely cool. All right, I think something else in this next section might end up doing that to me too, but all right, those are my best 10 video games of all time, and I'm going to start doing this each year going forward to see how this kind of changes, see if I missed anything. There's definitely some other franchises that could have got in the mix here, but I think I'm happy with this list. So number 10, Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Number 9, Uncharted 2. Number 8, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Number 7, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Number 6, Splatoon 3. Number 5, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Number 4, Last of Us Part 1. Number 3, Halo 3. Number 2, Super Mario Galaxy. And number 1, Last of Us Part 2. All right, so now let's get into it. The final category of the year, and the most important one of the year, and the thing I've been working towards all year, thinking about playing games for, and I'm excited to tell you about the best video game of the year for 2025. Let's start with the others that were considered. So these were considered but did not get a place on the best video game of the year. And the first one is Kirby Air Riders. That's a game I had nothing but fun with. Came out just in the last month or so. I guess it came out beginning of November. I've been having fun. I ran through all the Grand Prix. I ran through all the time trials. I ran through all the free attacks. I played some online racing. I tried out some of the new modes. I've dialed in my favorite rider and machine. And I don't know. I think at some point, I played a bunch of this and then kind of realized I had to get my affairs in order here for the end of the year. So I'll see myself playing some more of Kirby Air Riders in the new year. I just don't think it had quite enough juice or maybe enough time or whatever to get on an official ranking for me. But I have nothing bad to say about this game. I really like the one-wheeled vehicles in here. I really like Waddle Dee. I like all the different outfits. I like the different machines. I like the different custom styles. I like that you can hop into the races and race pretty quickly. I think that's pretty fun. I like that it's a simple control, but there's some strategy to it. I like the music and the craziness and all the attacks on the screens. And I think all the characters in the Kirby world are really, really cute and cool. And I had a really, really great time with Kirby Air Riders. I think it's definitely one of my favorite Switch 2 games. I think it's definitely a Switch 2 exclusive, so I think that's pretty nice. I think some of these games are still playable on the Switch 1, so I think it's a great game to have in the Switch 2 library. And I think it's going to be, I don't know, I could see this game being a contender from like a favorite game from a prior year. I could see myself really, really getting into it, kind of like I did Mario Kart 8 Deluxe from last year, and I think is an excellent video game, and that's Kirby Air Riders. All right, I'm going over some others considered for best video game of the year. Another one would be Ball Pit. This is a game I really have nothing bad to say about. I definitely could see myself playing some more of this and would like to do so. Friend of the show, Volnus, has been head over heels with this game and has completed, I think, everything in this. So I've been getting some good updates and strategy from him. But Ball Pit is an extremely fun game. It's one of those games, I feel like there's one of these each year, like Vampire Survivors, Balatro, something that's not a full price release that's extremely addictive. And I think this game falls in that category. It's going to be like it's almost like a Spelunky or Dead Cells. I think this game runs for $14.99 a lot of times, and it's extremely fun. It's very simple, but there's different characters. They have different abilities. You can get different upgrades. There's different combinations. So it's one of those games that's very simple, but does have some different layers to it. The base gameplay is very addicting and fun. It's something you've kind of seen before, like Pong a little bit, or Tetris almost, or even Peggle has a little bit of those vibes. But then it also has some like Vampire Survivors vibes in there as well. So I think it's an extremely fun, addicting video game that you can pick up and play quickly. I think it's something I could see myself owning on multiple platforms in the future. I've thought about buying it on PlayStation just to have it there as well. And definitely worthy of some consideration for best video game of the year. All right, another one of those as well. Another one I can really find nothing bad to say about. I think if I just played more of it, I think it could have been in better contention, and that is Hades 2. So Hades 2, if I was doing like a best character of the year, I think Milenoe would be on the top of that list. I think she's an extremely cool character. I like her better than the first one so far. I think this game has more of like a green theme to it. The first game had more of like red hues all throughout. This one's more green. I think it's more like appealing to look at or more beautiful to look at. And I think the character designs are extremely cool. I think the combat in this is really, really fun. Just the actual act of pressing the buttons to make Milenoe fight. There's different weapons you can have. There's different combinations. But, going through the overworld, going through this roguelite, I think is some of the most fun combat-wise. So I think that could help this one stand up for me as a roguelite. I don't know if I've ever completed a roguelite game. And, maybe this will be the one to do it. I've been playing more and more of this in the last couple of weeks, actually. And I've been playing a lot of this game in handheld. I think this game just looks visually amazing. The sounds of it are amazing. That's the same from Hades 1, and definitely worthy of consideration for best video game of the year. All right, so let's get into it. So for the best video game of the year, I'm going to have an honorable mention, I'm going to have a runner-up, and a winner. So let's start with the honorable mention. And like I said, I was doing a lot of racing this year. And the honorable mention for the best video game of the year is Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. So this is a game that was definitely a great surprise for me for the year. I didn't know this was coming out. I didn't know this was something I would like so much. And this was basically a pickup after, a couple months of Mario Kart World and the Nintendo Switch 2 release. And I was like, hey, I could go for some more kart racing. This one seems extremely good. I would love to complete some more Grand Prix races, so I picked this up. And this one, just extremely fun. This one even was in consideration for the winner of this category, I would say, at some point. I played a bunch of hours of this. Tails has been my favorite character. There's a bunch of great characters in here. There's even some great third-party characters, which is fun. There's like Ichiban from Yakuza. There's the Joker from Persona. SpongeBob and Patrick are in here. There's some Minecraft characters. So there's some DLC stuff that you can buy, but there's a great variety in the base game. There's also going to be some additional courses added to this game, which I could see myself buying. I'm still going through the Grand Prix here. There's many, many different speeds. And the speed I just got to is, not automatically me finishing in first. So I'm having to retry some of these races, but I have been making some progress. So it does allow you to get better. And, some of the things I like about this game, maybe more than Mario Kart World, would be a little bit less RNG. Or I wrote in here, there's no blue shells. So there's nothing in there that's really going to be too frustrating like that to even the course on the racing. So it feels a little bit more straight up racing. It feels a little bit more, maybe the racing feels a little more wobbly than Mario Kart World. It feels a little more like F-Zero-y. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think it's a different, like something that makes it different, but it's extremely fun. This game looks extremely great on PlayStation 5. I think that's pretty shocking when I'm playing this, of like playing a kart racer and seeing like really high fidelity water graphics and things like that. It's just a little bit unusual. Not that Mario Kart isn't like graphically impressive. It's just more of like a cartoony art style. And this one kind of blends the cartoony art style with some more realistic surroundings, which realistic surroundings or environment, which I think is really, really cool. What else do I like about this? I'll definitely plan on buying some DLC for this game in the future. The online racing is really fun. The two main things I've been doing in this game have been trying to complete the Grand Prix and then doing the online racing. The online racing has like a class system, so that's pretty fun. It gives you an objective or something to look at of like ranking up and down, and something that I could see myself playing and having to be subscribed to PlayStation Plus to play. And I think it's worth it because this game's been really, really fun. I've been kind of having playing some Mario Kart on the Switch. And then I've been able to play some Sonic Racing over here on the PlayStation. But this game is available on Switch as well. The Switch version 1 is a little bit lacking. I know it has a Switch 2 version now, so I don't know if that's solved all the problems. But I think if you don't have a PlayStation 5 and wanted to play this, I think it's perfectly fine to buy it on the Switch. I think you'll still get a lot of enjoyment out of it. But like I'm saying, having this game running in its best form or fashion has been really, really impressive. And this one definitely, if I had to have like a surprise of the year, it would definitely be Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. I really love this game. I think it has cross-play. I don't know if you can race with the people on other platforms. That's really, really impressive as well. So just seeing a modern kart racer that's not a Mario Kart game be released and be really, really successful, I think is a big surprise to me. And I had a lot of fun with this game. And I'm going to be playing this game in the upcoming year as well. So that's why Sonic Racing Cross Worlds gets an honorable mention as best video game of the year. All right, only two more games to talk about. That's the runner-up and the winner. And the runner-up is something I was just mentioning, and that's Mario Kart World for the runner-up for Best Video Game of the Year. This one was the leader for Game of the Year for most of the year for me. I think it's still tough making the decision. I still think I made the right decision for Game of the Year. But this game, I really think, lived up to the hype for me as a Nintendo Switch 2 launch game and as a Mario Kart game, as someone who got back into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe after the announcement of Mario Kart World and then rolled right into Mario Kart World. I've been playing... I think 80% of my year has been playing Mario Kart over here. And I've been having so much fun with it. And I really, really enjoyed this game. My favorite things about racing games are the Grand Prix and the online racing. And I think this game does an excellent job at that. I think the online racing in this game is very difficult. There's 24 racers in this Mario Kart World now, so that just adds another element to it. So there's a lot of more racers out there adding craziness. There's obviously like the blue shell and the items that add craziness already. So it's been really tough. I haven't been able to crack a win in this game, I don't think. I think I've gotten 2 second-place finishes pretty early on, and then I've been on a really, really down streak, but then recently I've been back into the online racing, and I've got a few third-place finishes recently. So it's been a pretty nice carrot on a string trying to get a first-place finish in Mario Kart World, and maybe one day I'll do so, and I'll definitely be talking about it on this show because I'll be happy about it. But I've been enjoying the open world in this game. That's kind of the new thing going on here, and that's something I've still been playing. The open world is basically all the tracks in the game connected. You can go ride around, do some different challenges, do some different collectibles. You can collect some different outfits in this game. There's plenty of characters in this game. It kind of sticks with the Mario class, so there's not really characters like Link or people from Animal Crossing, but it's brought out all the different Mario characters. There's a cow, there's a dolphin, there's all sorts of crazy, there's a bat, there's all sorts of crazy characters that are driving around, and just makes it really interesting. So I think it's pretty cool they went deep in the Mario well for the characters in this game. But the open world's fun, something I've still been making progress in to this day, and I would love for there to be more Grand Prix courses in this game, or maybe them to add some more CCs or things like that, and I think they will in the future. I think it would be cool if they add some more characters in the future as well, and I think those are all things that we'll see. But, trying to think of them not making the exact same game as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I think they did a great job. I think they made this one unique. I think it kind of lives more maybe in the Super Mario like Double Dash world of, more of a unique take on Mario Kart, more so than the traditional racer. I kind of think we'll see them maybe go back to a more traditional one after this. But I had nothing but fun with this game. I did many live streams of this game this year. I've been racing around as Waluigi. Has been my favorite character. I don't know why he's been my favorite character, but he has some really cool outfits in this game. I like his racing outfit. I like his vampire outfit. And I enjoy this online multiplayer up there with Splatoon 3. So being able to have this game and Splatoon 3, in handheld and on the TV, whenever I want to play them, is just a really, really awesome feeling. And I don't play many online games these days. I guess I used to play a lot more online shooters, online sports games, but the Nintendo side of things has really been holding down for me on online recently. I like how quick their matches are, how simple it is to get in and out of some of these things, and that really allows me to, sit down and play and spend some time playing them. So Mario Kart World, runner-up for my best video game of the year. And I love you, Mario Kart World, and I want to decide what my favorite Mario Kart game is. I don't know. I think it's too early. I think I could see myself crowning this my favorite one. I could see myself crowning 8, but I think maybe next year, maybe that'll be a category for next year. I'll try to rank the Mario Karts or something like that, but it's definitely something I'm thinking about from time to time, and more so especially with the release of Mario Kart World, because I love that game. All right. So here's what we've been waiting for. Everyone's been waiting for. I've been waiting for. What is the best video game of the year for the Dep Lewis Show? It's not Mario Kart World. That's been something I've been talking about for a long time this year, about how much I love it and how great of a chance it has. But this other game, I've been doing the same as well. I think of just talking about which one, maybe pulls at your heartstrings more, pulls out the heart, pulls out the enjoyment, pulls, I don't know, just at that, whatever the core is that makes you like a video game or enjoy it or show reverence or respect for it. I think this one does it just a little bit more. And my winner for the game of the year for the Dep Lewis Show for 2025 is Ghost of Yotei from Sucker Punch Productions, the follow-up to Ghost of Tsushima. It's not a direct sequel because it's a new character, and the new character, Atsu, is one of my favorite characters of all time. She's up there with Ellie. This game released on October 5th, 2025. Sucker Punch Productions also has created games like Infamous and Sly Cooper. Ghost of Tsushima came out in 2020. And this is the winner of my game of the year. And this is a game that I've put a lot of hours into it. It's my most played PlayStation game of the year. I've not completed this game. It just came out in October, so that's the one little caveat here of making this my favorite game of the year. But I think that's going to be the case sometimes. I'm not the quickest player when it comes to playing these games, but I do know what I like, and the time I've spent with this game has been the most valuable video game time that I've spent throughout this year. And this is definitely one that I've been playing this game a little bit differently than I have with other games. I haven't really had a sense of running through it. I've been kind of doing some of the open world stuff as it comes to me, and that's kind of how I plan on taking this game to the finish line. So this is one that I definitely can see myself completing at some point, playing more into the new year, and so on. But I have played enough of Ghost of Yotei to determine that this is my favorite video game of the year, and I'm here to tell you why. Atsu is my new favorite character. One of my new favorite characters ever. She's made it into the lexicon of just characters I think about or talk about just randomly in my stupid brain of walking around or maybe, thinking about video games. And Atsu is extremely cool. This is another one of a great surprise of the year for me. I played Tsushima a little bit back in the day, never got completely hooked. I don't know why. I think I'm a little bit tougher of a video game player these days with, open world and fighting and things like that. So it maybe helped me jump into this game a little more openly or whatever it may be. But the lead character just being so extremely cool in this game, and then their backstory being so enticing and getting you right into the mix of this. So Atsu is the main character. The backstory opens up. There'll be a little bit of spoilery stuff in the game. I haven't completed it, so I don't know how it ends, but I can see the vision here, and I think the best part of this game is the actual minute-to-minute playing the game, being involved in the world, and I don't really expect too much of a surprise with the final structure of this game, but I think they've set up the structure in this game so well that it really allows you just to take the minute-to-minute gameplay as the most fun thing here. So the backstory of this is the beginning of the game. Atsu, her mother and father are killed kind of by a warring tribe, and then Atsu is seemingly killed. They pretty much tie her to a tree to burn and kill her, but somehow, miraculously, is what you find out. So that's the story. You get set up with this intense scene where the mother and father are killed, brother runs away, and you are left tied to a tree, seemingly to die. But the game, kind of wakes you up, and it's a little bit of a mystical or unusual way of how you have risen, but you have risen, and you have become what they call a vengeful spirit in Japanese folklore, the Onryo. So just extremely, extremely cool. An extremely cool blend of how good this game looks and then a little bit of the mysticism here, going with such a tragic, horrible start of how am I alive and what's going on. And then Atsu's only reason for being back is to slide and get revenge on the Yotei 6, the people that killed her family. So she has become the ghost of Yotei because she is going around Mount Yotei, and the word of her is spreading that the ghost, the Onryo, is back to get her vengeance, and she is getting her vengeance person by person, member of the Yotei 6. So that's your whole thing. That's your whole setup at the beginning of the game, is to go through and take down the Yotei 6. The beginning intro tutorial has you take one down, and then you are kind of open to go take down whoever you want to in the open world setting. They are dastardly villains. They are awful. They are just bastards. They're awful. They make you want to go out there and slide and get your revenge. So the little bit of the backstory there just sets the game up and kind of throws you out into the world, basically like a Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, or Tears of the Kingdom. There's a lot of similarities here in that, and I think those are some of the things that I have enjoyed about this game, and find myself liking it in a lot of the same ways that I've been enjoying Breath of the Wild. But it's just in a little bit of a different setting. You're doing some, it has its own spin on it, but a lot of the same things that I'm liking about those games, I'm getting from this as well. So it has an open world. Has a really, really great open world and the map system. You can buy maps from different people, from the cartographer in the world, and then you have to actually go place those maps manually on the map to find where they're located. So it's just a pretty cool mechanic and a way to grow out the map so you can go around and do all the open world stuffs. Like, let's see here, there's all sorts of stuff, like playing your shamisen. So you basically are, at the beginning of the game, you have your shamisen, which is an instrument from your mother, and you have your sword from your father. Your father was a renowned swordsmith, and that's what you have on your back to go get your revenge for your family. And then out into the world you go, and there's all sorts of different things to go do. You can play your shamisen. There's like painting in the open world. There's cooking. There's bamboo strikes. There's hot springs. There's wolf dens and more. So you can really walk around the world and find all sorts of side quests to do. And then you have your 6 targets that you're set out to take, and you have to find, I'm going to go talk to this guy. He's going to tell me about where the snake's located or where the Onis are located and how I can get there, and maybe find a mission on the way. And I think this game does a wonderful job of blending all the side missions and the main missions and everything together into like one cohesive world. It really feels like you really enter a different world when you go play this game, and it really blends everything in there so beautifully. Shamaki is my horse. You get to pick a name for your horse, and Shamaki is a term for the wind. You have your own horse. You can call them whenever. You can ride through the world. The open world has beds of flowers that can increase your speed. You have all sorts of different attributes. You can upgrade your horse and your character. Placing the maps manually. A lot of memorable places around the world. The Ishikari Plain. A lot of memorable characters in this game. You have the Matsumai clan. You got Ronins rolling around. You got just average people. You're helping settlements that got taken over, and you're restoring them back to being good and functioning towns. And once they become back to functioning towns, you can use the shops. There's even one town that has like a memorial to Atsu at the front of it because of her heroic efforts, and you can go to the memorial for her. I guess it's like an honor station, and they'll be dropping things off from time to time, like items or whatever. It's just really cool. They're putting gold there for you, so it just kind of makes you feel like a respected person around this world, and you're definitely a little bit of a mysterious person around this world, being the Onryo. So let's see here. All the masks in this game are cool. The hats, the armor, there's all sorts of weapon variants you can get and upgrade and customize Atsu to look however you like. I find myself like almost on a day-to-day basis kind of changing these on how I feel or what area of the world I'm in. You can look extremely cool and you can change it up. You can save different loadouts for your outfits, and there's all sorts of different ways to get things. There's different skins you can buy and colors and colorways and variations, and Atsu is one of the coolest looking characters in video game history, and there's a million different ways to make her look cool, which is really, really neat. There's a gambling mini game in here, which I like a lot. It's a coin flicking game, so it's kind of like if you're playing Gwent in The Witcher 3, but you can go around and gamble with people. You basically have to flick a coin into another one. If you knock it off the table, you lose. If you knock it into another coin, you lose a point. But if you just knock it and hit nothing else, you gain a point. You try to play the 6, and whoever gets the 6 first takes the other guy's money. So extremely fun. It works extremely well with the adaptive triggers on the PlayStation 5 controller and just feels really great. You can kind of get into a little bit of a groove. If you haven't played it in a while, you'll lose a little bit of your finesse. So it's just a really, really fun mini game in there. Not something I generally like doing is like those style of mini games, but it just hits really hard in this game. Another thing in this game, I actually leveled up my stealth pretty early on. It has a pretty cool mechanic where you can stealth assassinate multiple people in a row, I think up to 3, and it's just pretty fun. It helps you take out a majority of some people in an area and help you kind of get down to the fighting, which you kind of end up getting into most of the time anyways. But the basic combat in this game is extremely fun. It's challenging. It has a nice rhythm to it. It's straightforward, but it doesn't allow you to just kind of mash or hammer in there. So you have to have some thoughts. You have to use some of your special moves. You have to use some different tools at your disposal. There's more tools than you could ever even use, I feel like. I don't really even use the bow. I don't use they have some throwing stars in there. I don't really use those. I've been mainly just a sword fighter. I like picking the items up in the world and parrying, doing a lot of parrying. And what else? I mean, I'm just really all over the place with this game, but I like so much about it. Combat, the parry, picking things up and throwing at people. You can knock a weapon out of another guy's hand. That's really fun. The roll's good. Sometimes you get caught on fire. You got to roll to stop, drop, and roll. Roll to evade the enemies feel good. Roll to evade the bears. I've actually got a second weapon in this game. There's multiple weapons you can get. The second one I've gotten so far has been the Odachi, which is a massive long-bladed sword. I haven't really found myself going back to using it as much as I'm using the katana, but I'm able to get dual katanas at some point, and I'm not sure if there's other weapons that I'm going to be able to unlock too. You get a wolf sidekick, which is really cool. There's like a wolf theme to this game. Atsu's dad would call her and her brother Jubei the twin wolves. So there's definitely some cool correlations there, and you become friends with wolves in the world, and you kind of protect them, and they become your friends, and they can actually fight for you. So that's some really cool things. As I'm a fan of Game of Thrones, and the dire wolves are some of my favorite portion of that game, and just I'm a fan of dogs in general. But the graphical fidelity and the art style in this game is elite. It's one of the most beautiful looking video games I've seen. Mount Yote being in this game is just a beautiful thing, and it's something you'll notice from time to time. It's like a marker in the world of like, oh yeah, there's Mount Yote over there, and just that in this world, putting a little bit of realism amongst this world with a lot of fantastical things going on and some realism stuff going on. It's just a really, really perfect blend. And then the other perfect blend of this, I make this, the story so tragic. Atsu's such a deadly fighter and, a force to be reckoned with. But there's some humor in this world. And a lot of the humor actually comes from Atsu, which is really nice. So I think that really builds her character out and is the reason that I'm having so much of an affinity for Atsu as a character. She is someone who is, the most high-level skilled fighter out there in the world, who's stubborn and dead set on revenge. But she also has time to help people. She doesn't really take the harm that was placed on her and place it on to other people. She's out there in the world trying to make things better, and that's really appreciated, and it has to be really hard for her to do in general, just, facing the tragedy of her life. And then the big question, I talked about your brother running away. You actually meet your brother later in the game. He is a samurai in Clan Matsume, so he has kind of taken more of a formal route in life, and that really doesn't line up completely with what Atsu is trying to do, where she's just trying to go, blatantly get revenge on these people who killed her family. That's really her only goal in life. And then there's the whole question of how is she even doing this, being the Onryo, and what's going to happen to her. And then Jubei becomes kind of the person that talks to Atsu about, hey, is this really worth it going to try to kill these people? And Atsu's kind of like, hey, it's really all I have left. I don't really even know how I'm alive. I don't really know what's going to happen to me. But it kind of feels like her only mission left is to take out the Yote 6. And Jubei doesn't initially understand that, but he's coming along to it as the story goes. And that some of those conversations, there's definitely been a scene in here where, got some tears flowing and just really, really impressive on the story-wise here. And the blend of everything they're doing in this game is impressive. And even playing this game this morning, just finding the stuff in the open world that happens so naturally, it's just really, really incredible. I don't know when it's ever going to stop in this game. I don't know when the open world stuff is going to stop feeling so immersive and natural, and things around the world opening up and different missions and large and small. I don't know. I think I've been going through this game at a slow pace and kind of completing a lot of the open world stuff, but it just seems to keep having more and more of it open up over time. So it does a really, really great job of giving you the straightforward mission of taking out the Yote 6 in the beginning, but it also gives you all sorts of things to do across the world that are extremely fun and go from, exciting to relaxing to heart-wrenching to, feel good. There's all sorts of stuff throughout this game that's extremely fun to do and just walk around in any direction. And then one of the things in this game that I think this is a sleeper factor in this game, Ghost of Yote. There's a mode in this game called Watanabe mode. This is something I heard about before the game got released that really sparked my ears because I definitely like listening to lo-fi music. And this Watanabe mode is inspired by Shinichiro Watanabe, who is the 60-year-old Japanese anime television and film director. Cowboy Bebop is one. And Watanabe mode changes the music to lo-fi music inspired by this famous director. And I love this so much. I think it helps cut the tension of the world in a great way. I think it's helped me, be a little bit less scared of wandering around this world because the lo-fi music really puts you into the most relaxed setting sense you can feel of playing this game in the open world. And the open world has all sorts of beautiful colors and flowers and visuals and fidelity and water and waterfalls. And, Atsu's a cool character. And then you have the nice Watanabe music going over there with the lo-fi. I think it just adds the perfect blend in this game, especially. And it kind of, it brings it in and out. So if you get into a battle or if you get into a cutscene, it's going to dull the Watanabe music. But once you get back into the open world, it's going to kick it back up again. And just one of the coolest things. I've played the entirety of this game in Watanabe mode. It's synonymous to me with playing this game. And I think just a really, really brilliant idea. And I don't know if I've heard anybody really talk about, liking playing this game in that mode so much. But I really do think is the sleeper setting in this game. And I think it's the perfect way to play Ghost of Yote is with Watanabe mode. So just something so cool, something so unusual, and something that definitely sparked my interest before and lived up to the hype as well. So, I've been having a great time with this video game. I think this one can definitely go up on there for, as I go farther into this. I think already it's worthy of the best game of the year, but I think as I play more of this game, I think it's going to be getting attention for one of my favorite games of all time. And I think Sucker Punch, a little bit, amongst this year, have a sleeper hit here. I think this has been a great year for video games all across the board. And I think Ghost of Yote has been getting recognition, but I don't think it's been getting the recognition it deserves because I think it's amazing. And I know it's the winner of the best video game of the year for the Dep Lewis Show for 2025, Ghost of Yote. So, congratulations to Ghost of Yote, and congratulations to me for getting to play it. And congratulations to Atsu for being the most badass character that I can imagine. And just a wonderful surprise. And, Atsu is the champ. So way to go, Atsu, winner of the Game of the Year, Ghost of Yote. And I think that's it. I think that's all I got for you for these Dep Lewis Show Awards. So just extremely fun to do. This is the culmination of my entire year of playing video games. I'm going to be playing some of these games more going into the new year. And I am just thankful for anyone, involved with these video games. It's just, there's endless things to play. There's endless different experiences. There's endless genres. There's endless great games. And these are all the ones that really touched my heart and that are important to me and that I had fun playing this year. So I'm just, very thankful to be able to tell them to you on this microphone today and just shout out to all the great video games. So that's going to wrap up the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2025. I might kind of go over the categories again just for fun, but their favorite other podcasts of the year: the Jeff Gerstmann Show, Next Lander Podcast, Fire Escape Cast, Giant Bombcast, and Pew Pew Bang. Favorite streamers of the year: Rachel K, Sarah Pods, and Mike Minotti. Favorite YouTube channels of the year: Double Jump Video Games, P Leaf, and Arkansas Picker. Favorite console of the year: the runner-up, PlayStation 5, and winner, Nintendo Switch 2. Best video game from a prior year: some others that were considered were Super Mario RPG and Gears of War 4, runner-up Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and winner of best game from a prior year, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I ranked my top 10 video games of all time, starting at 10, Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind, 9, Uncharted 2, 8, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, 7, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, 6, Splatoon 3, 5, Animal Crossing New Horizons, 4, Last of Us Part 1, 3, Halo 3, 2, Super Mario Galaxy, and my top favorite video game of all time, The Last of Us Part 2. And then the final category of the year, the most important, the best video game of the year. Some others that were considered were Kirby Air Riders, Ball Pit, Hades 2. Honorable mention was Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Runner-up for best video game of the year was Mario Kart World. And best video game of the year for the Dep Lewis Show for 2025 was Ghost of Yote. So that's the year. That's what I got for you. What a hell of a year for the video games. It was the year of no direction on the Dep Lewis Show. Next year is going to be the year of the front log, so I'm going to be looking at the new games coming out. I'm going to be feeling a little bit less guilt if I haven't played the previous game in that series, and be looking to the front log. Ghost of Yote, best video game of the year. Still going to be playing a lot of racing games in the upcoming year. Next year, I plan on ranking the top 10 video games of all time again. Maybe the list will stay the exact same. Maybe it'll change up in a drastic way. You never know. You got to keep listening. And just thank you, as always, for listening to the 4th annual Dep Lewis Show Awards. It is my favorite podcast to do each year. And it's going to be a really, really fun thing to look back over time and see my Game of the Year winner. So far for this show, first year was Splatoon 3, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Year 2, year 3 was Astrobot, and now year 4 is Ghost of Yote. So we've had 2 Nintendo winners, 2 PlayStation winners, and I guess they've all been first-party games so far. So we will see. Maybe a third-party game is going to win Game of the Year one day. But for this year, all I know is that Ghost of Yote is the winner of the Game of the Year for the Dep Lewis Show for 2025. So that's going to wrap up this mid-section. That's going to wrap up the Dep Lewis Show Awards. But there's still one final section. We're still going to do the Miscellaneous Talk section. I want to tell you what's going on with the worldwide world of sports, do a little bit of a catch-up for what happened last week, and then a little bit of catch-up just for the overall year. It should be pretty short and sweet, but I want to celebrate my favorite sports teams in the final section since I talk about them every week. So, thank you to all the video games, and please come back for the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 161, after this. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 161. It's hard to follow the Dep Lewis Show Awards, but I want to catch you up on everything going on with the worldwide world of sports in the past week and do a little bit of a year-end wrap-up here. So, since last week in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers, my favorite team, they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week in a battle for division supremacy, and the Panthers came out on top, unbelievably. Panthers won 23-20 in a really, really huge win, a very clutch win, a very important win to here at the getting close to the end of the season. Bryce was 21 for 32, had 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 sacks for 17 yards. Rico had 9 carries for 29 yards. Chuba 6 carries for 27 yards. T-Mac had 6 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown. Nick Scott led in tackles again, I believe. Number 21, he had 10 total tackles, 9 solo. Lathan Ransom had a very important interception. And then Ryan Fitzgerald, the kicker that's really been doing his thing, was 3 for 3 on his field goals and 2 for 2 with his extra points. The Panthers are 8-7 record-wise after this game, and they are playing the Seattle Seahawks today in Charlotte in about an hour and a half. And if they are able to beat the Seahawks today, that's going to give the Panthers a positive record for the season, and that's going to help me win my bet over there with Stu Woot. So I'm excited about that. But then also, if the Panthers are able to win today against the Seahawks and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose, the Panthers will win the division today. So pretty incredible. It's all in front of them today. They need a little bit of help from Tampa Bay, but hey, you never know, it might happen. So I'm hoping the Panthers can get a win today. They are, I think the Seahawks are pretty tough. I think they have a pretty good history of beating the Panthers. And I don't know, though. The Panthers have been, playing better, but actually showing up to these games, not really being too disappointing, but we will see. And then next week, so they will play Tampa Bay next week. That time is still undecided. That'll be week 18. And then for fantasy football today, my team is trying to win the finals. I am playing who I just mentioned, Stoop Woot, in the finals today. So hopefully today I'll be having 2 dubs against him. That would just be way too glorious. And I've been having a rough time with my quarterbacks. My quarterbacks were supposed to play last night, Jordan Love and Lamar Jackson, and both of them didn't play. So for today so far, I got Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold going. And I don't normally like to play people playing against the Panthers, but there's not too many options left. I think my only other options were Phillip Rivers or Geno Smith. So I still need to make a decision before 1 o'clock today, and that's something I have to do after recording this podcast. So please wish the Panthers luck and my fantasy team luck today, because it could be a really monumental day for the football. All right, so what else is going on in the sports world? So for the Panthers, I just want to say, this season's been really impressive. Last season was a down season. This season has certainly been an improvement either way. It's already a win in regards to last season, but I think it's exciting that the Panthers have a little more they can go get. I'm excited for Bryce. I'm excited for a bunch of other pieces on the team. I think they've been drafting well. I'm even turning around on Canales these days. So, I'm really, really happy with the way the Panthers are looking here to end the year. All right, and then basketball-wise, I guess both of my basketball teams have been a little bit down, but they got some young guys going, which is nice. I'm a halfway fan of the Hornets since I'm a North Carolina resident now. Since last week, Monday, they played at Cleveland. The Hornets lost 132-139. Tuesday versus Washington, Hornets won 126-109. Friday at Orlando, the Hornets won 120-105. And Colin Knuppel did get injured. I think it was an ankle injury. The x-rays came back negative, but I believe he's going to miss a few weeks. So that's pretty disappointing for the potential rookie of the year and just a phenomenal young player for the Hornets. Now, next week, the Hornets will play the Bucks, the Warriors, the Bucks again, and the Bulls. And there's a lot of trade talk going on around the league. I think Giannis and the Bucks are involved in some of that as well. So we will see what's going to be happening with some of these trades going down. And then my favorite NBA team, the Atlanta Hawks, they've been doing some losing since last week versus the Bulls on Sunday. That was after the podcast last week. The Hawks lost 150-152. Very high-scoring effort. Tuesday versus Chicago again, the Hawks lost 123-126. Friday versus Miami, the Hawks lost 111-126. And Saturday versus the Knicks, the Hawks lost 125-128. So can't get much worse than that for a week. Next week, the Hawks have the Thunder, the Wolves, the Knicks, and Toronto. So for basketball, we're only kind of halfway through the season here this season. Last season was disappointing for both of my teams, which has kind of been the case for the last couple of years. Both of my teams have some young players that are nice. We got Colin Knuppel, we got Brandon Miller, we got Jalen Johnson. So there are some good things besides LaMelo and Trey and some of the more established guys, so that's nice to see. But I don't have the most hope for these teams for this year, but either way, I'm excited to continue watching and supporting them as I always do. All right, my favorite team in the universe, the Atlanta Braves, are in the offseason. An extremely disappointing season last year, but 2026 will begin on March 27, 2026 versus the Royals. The Braves have made some pretty good offseason moves. We're going to be having a new skipper in the new season. A few little fringe upgrades. I think we still need to pay a starting pitcher would be nice, and I will definitely be prepared for that before March would be nice. But I'm looking forward to the season to start. Baseball, the great long baseball season is my favorite time of the year, and I can't wait for March 27th. So go Braves. And then I don't have any general MLB news, no really big signings I want to report to you. So that is kind of everything I have for you on the sports update. So, just to close the year out, pretty much as I love video games, I love sports, and I get a lot of enjoyment from them. Even if my favorite teams are doing poorly, it's still something to follow and support and hope and watch and plan and, maybe even go watch them in person. There's a lot of fun that comes into it for me, and I think that will always be the case. So shout out to all my favorite teams, the Carolina Panthers, the Charlotte Hornets, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Atlanta Braves. And that's everything I have for you for this section and everything I have for you for the entire show. So I want to reiterate some promotional talk from the beginning. Please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. YouTube is also a great place to watch me play some games live or check out the videos later. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Also, Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime for any amount if you'd like to support the show. Just thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to my content at all, at any time, and especially during this last year. It's just been really, really fun as always. This is one of my favorite things to do. I've been having so much fun doing this for the 3 years I've been doing it, and I plan on doing it many, many more. I have so much fun doing the Dep Lewis Show Awards. I hope you had fun listening to that. After the show, all the podcasts up until next year go into, planning the Dep Lewis Show Awards for 2026. to crown another Game of the Year winner. Congrats to Ghost of Yotei as being the best video game of the year. I've been having so much fun with that game, and I think Atsu is an extremely amazing character, and Ghost of Yotei from Sucker Punch is definitely deserving of Game of the Year from the Dep Lewis Show. So just, shout out to all the video games of the world. They make me really happy. They're fun to play. It's fun to talk about each week. It's just really, really fun. So, just thank you out there in the world. Hope you have a wonderful new year. I hope you come back in 2026 and listen to me again. Happy New Year to you out there. And, I'll be back next week. So thank you for listening to this award show. But, we got plenty more years to go. We got plenty more podcasts to go. We got more games to play. We got more news to follow. We got more sports to talk. We got more fun to have. We got more stuff to go down. So, please come back and join me in the new year. And just thank you so much for being you. And I will talk to you then.